clash, one fall. Time will explode. You could feel red blood run cold across the postcode. Got me down bad and the fear get viral. Fans screaming, season done like a survival spiral. But breathe, my brother, fear don't leave. North London warriors built from a stronger queen. Arteta armor defense like granite. We don't melt, this ain't that planet. No panic in the streets of North London. Even when that moment makes red blood run cold, we stand strong. Fear fades quick when the baseline rolls. Cannon on the chest, never lose control.
This is an emergency broadcast on all YouTube bulletin stations. There is currently a massive emergency. Please panic and run around like your knickers are on fire. Remember to stay...
Hopefully you can hear me now. Gremlins in the system. It's Arteta's fault. Anyway, lovely to see you. Thanks for being here. It is, of course, Tuesday Club. This ain't no party, it's a Tuesday Club. I went with the No Panic in the Streets of North London intro just because, like, come on, that is what's happening, isn't it? Everywhere you look, I'm not trying to resurrect some sort of toxic masculinity of the terraces, you know, blokes, stand your ground. But it does strike me as a little bit, just when you want our fans to be a little bit more flapping about in a breeze. Look, I get it's disappointing when you only get 3 points from a game. I understand that it's not enough. Look, in all seriousness, let's have a debate. I want to hear from you, how you're feeling. I've been avoiding certain areas. I've found that actually the typical Arsenal fan is not the hysterical teenager that you see on YouTube. They are not constantly telling you that they told you this was going to happen because they predict 1,000 things, and when one thing happens they can't shut up about it. They're not endlessly going over the same things over and over again. I don't think this manager's good enough. Usually just say things once, people hear you, and then you shut up for a bit. But that, I think, is largely just YouTube. I don't think that is the great mass of Arsenal fans, the unheard. You know, for these sheep that sort of follow each other around saying the same things as each other. We can't keep doing this revisionism thing. You know, it's not good enough. Standards. The same words coming out of hundreds and hundreds of little mouths. For all of them, there is the average fan who's like, do you know what? I love football. I love watching football. And whilst nobody in their right mind would want us to have to score an at the death extra time winner against Wolverhampton Wanderers, it will still be something you remember. It is still an event at a ground, just like the Bournemouth goal Reece Nelson scored. But I want to talk about it because there's so many debates going around. You would never believe that we were top of the league. If you landed from an alien entity on this planet and you found out what football was and that the aim was to be top, you would, listening to our fan base, you would expect us to be doing worse than Tottenham. And my God, we're not. Sad to see Cardiff go out to Chelsea. It was a good game in the League Cup. Of course, we have our game next Wednesday, and there are a couple more games tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts on, do you think we can win the League Cup? And would you be happy if we won the League Cup? Would you be happy if we won anything? There's a lot of you about, so thank you so much for being here. And basically what we are here is, if you're new here, and it's great to see you, but if you're new here, this is a community of people who enjoy having debates about things. We don't all agree on everything. It's not possible to get a group of cool people together who agree on everything. But we don't agree with anything, but it's respectful, it's fun, and we try and have a little bit of a laugh with it as well. So no insults, no rudeness, you'll just get booted. All right, so keep it civil, keep it friendly, and may I say, Hawkwind recently has developed a reputation for being the very first one in. And we have a tradition here at the Adams Arms for Tuesday Club and for all the other nights, Sunday and Friday, for whenever Hawkwind appears. Hey, Kizu. started doing that. My mic started muting itself randomly. Hawkwind and Fire the Cannons. Great to see you, sir. Geezer. Man, a few words, but all of them count. And Malia, without whom this show would not be anything like worth doing. Whoop whoop, boss man. Big up legend and all the awesome people in the chat. Now, Boy Tendio, who I have come to rely on for speaking sense, not just on his platform, but on other platforms I see you on. Now I see I would like to avoid the Gluminati, but they do put themselves about. They do. They are vocal. They are noisy. They are the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. They are what everybody thinks an Arsenal fan sounds like. We had one in the comments. I thought Rosie's comment was brilliant. Somebody in the comments saying, Arteta will never lead this club to silverware. That's a fact. And I just, I'm not here to agree or disagree. I quite have the debate. I'm interested in hearing from you guys rather than talking at you. But clearly it's not a fact if it hasn't happened yet. That was my only point. It can't be a fact. It's so interesting to me that people confuse their opinions with facts. And the difference between a fact and opinion is obvious to everybody else. But to this particular person, it'll be what? If I think something, that's a fact. If I think that Arsenal definitely aren't going to win the title next season, or this season, or any other season, it's a fact. No, fine. If you're so sure, put your money on it. And stop pestering me. And don't you just love people who leave comments on videos who clearly haven't watched the video? They're such busy lives they lead, scampering around the internet and YouTube, leaving stupid comments. They're so busy at it. I mean, there's a never-ending supply of intelligent video commentary and comment sections to bother that they have to. They haven't got a moment to watch a video, but they can definitely get involved in the comments. Hawkwind and Boy Tendio, hi Malia, lots of helloing going on. Methinks me New Year's resolution should be to exercise demons and other malevolent entities. I like it. Let's do it together. Go for it, why not? That's the kind of encouragement you get from Malia. Always supportive, always encouraging, always grateful you're here. You get a little flower from Hawkwind 77. It's what we do best. Kobe, good to see you. No sound. What now? Can you not hear me? Can you really not hear me? Well, that would be bad. Right, there's so many of you, I'm going to have to go through it. Hang on, by the way. Oh, there it is. Oh, thank God. You had me worried there. Boy Tendia. I know, it did cut out right at the beginning, didn't it? Emergency stream. It is an emergency stream because it's so gloomy. Is Gyökeres a waste? We don't know yet. How are Man City going to chase us down? We don't know yet. What happened? Do you remember the days where you used to have to wait and see? It's wait and see, people. Wait and see settings. Allow it, fam, boss man. Evening, landlord. I'll have a pint of we've got no game till Saturday and a packet of I'm bored now. Great to see you, Zanzi. No, listen, I like that we haven't got a game till Saturday. Don't get it twisted. We are going to need to be our best to beat this Everton side, even though they're not very good, because we've got a shit record at Everton. This is the game I've been most worried about. It is the 6th most difficult away game we face every season. Did you know that? Ribbit, Kermit's middle finger. Lovely to see you. How comes everyone knows we're going to lose, but never knows which players are going to be good or bad? And how comes if you they're not predicting that we're going to lose either. Did you see Matty, Southern Gooner, on the League Gunner? And this isn't meant as any kind of dig at Matty. I think he's actually really cool. I mean, I don't agree with him on most things, and I don't watch a lot of his content, but he was on there when Wolves scored going, I told you it was going to be 1-1! I told you it was going to be 1-1! I checked the stream! I told you! He's like, hang on, mate. We're all trying to watch a football match and deal with the fact that our teams just equalised. We're a little bit, maybe pitch in later, but I wonder if he was as vocal about the fact that I was wrong, it was 2-1, we did win, I was wrong. No one does that, do they? There's this real phenomenon, you've all observed it, right, of people wanting to be proven to have been right. Why? Like, we all know you're guessing. We all know you don't have some mad insight. You're not hand of God. Hold that, call us. Collison 42, a gentleman's preference. How comes everyone knows we're going to lose and yet Weatherman can't get me weather right? Exactly. How comes they know so much? How comes these guys never make a fortune sports betting? That's what I want to know. How comes if you're so sure, how comes you don't put some money on it? Go and put some money on it. Make yourself a fortune. Hello, legends. And then when we win at the end of the season, they're the ones saying, I knew we could do it. No one's going to pay any attention to them. How old are you? Shut up. How old are you? What chats have you been in where that comes over well? How old are you? Tell me you're a teenager without telling me you're a teenager. How comes all the folks telling me they're going to lose didn't know the 16-year-old Jamal was going to be elite? Just for posterity, I knew after watching film of him playing when he was 15. I knew when I saw the prenatal scan. You were shit on the weekend. I wasn't. Let's just have that right. I was fucking amazing on the weekend. You donut. Who's this fella anyway? Why are you here? Don't you have someone that you know you could irritate the shit out of? Was that paving over the cracks 3 points? Yeah, probably. But we're going to have a conversation about it, Jose, and I welcome your input. Tell me you're a Gen Z without telling me you're Gen Z. Yardi Castillo, I'm 12 today. Fuck off. You can be shit and still win. I'm pretty sure that some long talked of barometer of champions have to pass. Nah, boy Tendia, what you're forgetting is if Liverpool are shit and win, that's what champions do. If Man City hold on 5-4 after being 5-1 up against Fulham, that's what champions do. If we get a late goal, that's not what champions do. If we win a game, that's not what champions do. It's almost not worth learning how to say your name. I'm really sorry about this, Abu Bakr Masood. I'm going to ignore the shit out of you for the rest of the stream because I have a feeling that you're either 12 or you have the mental age of a 12-year-old. I'd rather go shite and win brilliant and lose. Thoughts on rival fans saying they aren't worried about Arsenal after Wolves? Yeah, do you know what? Like, rival fans, I don't think I trust their opinions. I think they're constantly trying to bait us and goad us. Well, there's one, like, this 12-year-old half-wit. We're coming for you. We're coming. I hope you are. I hope it's an exciting run-in. I hope we win it at the death. No one knows what's going to happen, do they? Let's be honest. Nobody's really... I mean, like, everybody can talk a good game and it swings one way or the other. I will also, just for sake of balance, like the BBC would do, I'm going to say this. There are a lot of Arsenal fans that do a little bit too much when we're having a good run. They start talking about best in the world, best in Europe, best in breed. Nah, look, don't bother chatting. Let's just watch the games. And if you feel like the best thing you can do to support your club is to constantly say that they're all shit, that's a strategy. You stick by it. Look at that. You man would take any trophy. When did people start misusing the pronouns? You man. You men, maybe? Like you man. Not right. Sorry. Clockenders is here. The Zanzibar Barbarian's a legend. Malia's a legend. He says hello to those two. So it's true that champions still win games even when they're shit on a given day. And you can't debunk it. So back to back old diatribe. So back to the old diatribes. Yeah. Do you know what? It is what it is. Let's not get worried about what people say. And you don't need to ask Abu Bakr who he supports. He's going to be a Man City fan. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's like, oh, I suddenly find myself interested in football. Who can I support? And don't give out that you're like in your 30s because nobody supported Man City. Suddenly everybody from an oil-rich country supports Man City because you see it as an extension of your ego. When they do well, I do well. And people perceive me as a legend too. I am a champion. But you're not. You're just somebody who chose a team that's successful to support. And you're going to be gutted in 10 years when the money dries up. I get a pass, Dan. You do every time. Man City. Ah! Was I right? I told you it was Man City. I told you. Here's a tune, mate. Here's a tune. Available the run up to Christmas. Available on all formats. Hope you enjoyed the match. Of course he did. Clockenders, young fella me lad. So why are you here? Is that an existential question? Are you being sort of Jean-Paul Sartre? And who are you asking? We're coming for you. We're coming for you. Please do. I'm not at all worried. You've lost 4 games already this season. Are you coming for us more than you came for Brighton away, Villa away, Newcastle away, or Spurs at home? You lost to Spurs at home. Stop it. Stop it. Stop pretending you're happy because I can. You can what? You haven't done anything yet. You've done fuck all. Jamil Kamuro. Lovely to see you. Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. And more importantly, thank you for smashing a like on the Zuckerberg stations. We are broadcasting across all of the Zuckerberg network. Please, 115 have to do enough to get embroiled in a court case with a Prem for over a decade for you guys to win things. Who the fuck do you think you are? I tell you what, I'm this guy. This is me. You're just some faceless non-entity with a little pink symbol who thinks he knows anything at all about football. And you're not impressing. But I'm probably going to ignore you. I did warn you, so maybe you want to... Does your mother know you're up? Let him be here. Why should we care? Why should be here? Let him be here. I agree with you. Actually, do you know what? I do think everyone's welcome as long as they're not rude to any of the chat. You can be rude to me all you like. I couldn't give a fuck. Man City are not challenging for the title. They are. They definitely are. I think they'll be top by New Year's Eve. It's just sickening. Because it's only sickening because I just want us to hold. I want us to hold the line. I want Arsenal fans to look, what choice you got? You can run around hysterically crying and bitching and whining like school children, or you can go, right, well, we're going to geezer up here and we're just going to hold the line. If I was in a pub full of Spurs fans, I wouldn't be giving it, oh. So let's not, right? Evening! Boxfresh is a better name, Rude 1 star, but it's fantastic to see you here, whatever name that YouTube has given you. Everyone else might humour that City shit, but I don't, I won't. It's good to cheat though, isn't it? Arsenal fan from Nigeria, brilliant, love it. Thank you for being here. We've got a huge fan base in Nigeria, haven't we? Fantastic. Who makes the best jollof rice? That's the question for the panel. 6 wins for City Saturday. I think he only won. Did he only just win one game, though, didn't you? Was a good. Was Sunday as well. Was a really good game by City against Palace. And Phil Foden is coming into form, but does his form usually last more than 3 months? That's a big question. When we win the league, I will come back to this channel. That's if you haven't changed sports by then or discovered that there's a bigger team than Man City around. Maybe you should have picked a different team. How long have just humour me? How long have you actually been following football? Is it 3 or 4 years? Huh? People. Bro, relax. They're already challenging. I think so. You play awful every game. Unsustainable. If you play awful every game, it's unsustainable. Do you remember when we beat Atletico Madrid? That's sustainable. When we beat Bayern Munich, that's sustainable. Newcastle away and Man United away, both sustainable. We humbled Spurs at home. Listen, if you can slag off how we've played all you like, but we are top of the table after 16 games. That's not actually me even saying I think we're going to win the league. It's just me saying that if you're going to be a fan of this club, this great, historic, long-historied club, can you stop behaving like fucking teenagers? The ones of you who are, in fact, grown-ups. Unlike Abu Baba. Okay, bro, we will see. Thank you! That's what I said at the very beginning, but you had your fingers in your ears. I'm telling you, we don't know who's going to win the league. You sitting here with your 3 years of football watching experience and FIFA does not qualify you to tell me if we're going to win the league or not. I don't care for your opinion. I mean, look, I haven't come into your YouTube channel or the Burger King you work in and given you shit. So why don't you just stay in your lane and I'll stay in mine and we don't have to crash into each other? Because if we do, I don't think you'll like it. Who did you support before City? Oh, my, Chelsea. Can I have a fiver on Chelsea? Or Man United? It's so funny, isn't it? Okay, bro, we will see is about the only smart thing you said. Just a quick one. Do you think Odegaard would play through passes for Haaland if he played for Arsenal? Because I still think there's a player in Gyökeres. I do want to talk about this as well. I'm going to try and say, this is where it gets interesting. Barrett Waskawabe. I'm doing my best, man. Help me out. It's a brilliant question, though, and thanks for being here. Hit subscribe. Questions like that are always welcome. We do have a problem with Gyökeres because everybody keeps talking about him. He hasn't done as badly as all that, but well, look, I'm not going to pretend that I think he's hit the ground running yet either. There was a really good clip I saw where it was Odegaard just not releasing him. But I think players get to know each other over a matter of months, and he could do more to help himself. I'm also kind of tired of this narrative as we've got to do more to find him. I can think of at least 2 crosses in the Wolves game that he could have been there for and wasn't. So some of it is he's not quite getting in the positions and some of it is we're not quite finding him. But I don't think you could criticise the crossing on that game. And no need to cry about it. Or I won't. Hey, listen. Have a good night's sleep, won't you? Hear me out, Dan. You can win a septuple and I'll still tell you your whole club's competitive legacy is fraudulent. Oh, well put, mate. Gyökeres is shit. The boy with the FIFA says so. Why didn't you beat us? Why didn't you beat us? We were down to 10 men for an entire half at your place. You didn't beat us. Why don't you know anything about football? I'm not even trying to be rude here. Abu Bakar Masood. Abu Bakar Masood. See the time I've spent learning that was entirely wasted. May is still far away. Relax. Well said. Aina Yendrop. That's a brilliant. Where are you from? That's Scandinavian? I'm guessing. If only Sam was here, he could tell me. It's fantastic to see so many new faces today. Make sure you join us every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. No, we do Tuesday Club every Tuesday, as you probably guess. Why didn't you beat us at the Emirates? It's a really good question. When did we play you at the Emirates? I thought you were Chelsea. Joseph, I'm getting very confused. Are you talking to Ababubaba? Why didn't you beat us.com? Good to see Gabby back. Yes. And also, news today, Kai Havertz is really close to a return. Can hear. Matthew of London, thank you so much. I needed that. I'm going to go through this. Trolls are in tonight. I know. It's beautiful, isn't it? Why give him to power to rage bait you? Yeah, it's not rage baiting me, I promise you. You have the best team in the world. Where were you? Where were you when you were shit? Did you ever you never used to bump into City fans? Gyökeres is a good striker. I'm glad you've said that. I don't know. I'm still in 2 months. But he's one of ours now, isn't he? So you have to kind of love him a little bit. We don't win anything. We are a trophyless, so why couldn't you beat a trophyless team? I really don't know, Joseph. I thought you were Chelsea. Aren't Chelsea the current... Listen, I've obviously made a terrible mistake. You're talking to him. Gotcha, okay. Apparently the next 5 fixtures we didn't win any last season, so it should be interesting. No, that can't be right. I've looked at this day and night for weeks. I know that Everton we didn't. Oh shit, you know what? I actually think you might be right now that you said that. We have got some difficult fixtures. I mean, I did a video. Please do check out the videos off this channel as well. It makes such a difference when I see one of you commenting. And I do my best. I think my point is this. Genuinely, we are likely to be behind Man City come January. And that's not great if it's Man City that have been dominating the league for 10 years since Abu Bababa was only 9 years old. But it might not be that City. It might be the City of last season who lost 9 games. Which did they look more like to you? I think Foden coming into form and having the greatest striker in the world. Bernardo Silva is not the player he was. They don't have Gundogan. I mean, I'm not going to go through the Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, Jack Grealish, all the players that don't have, even going back to Mahrez, Cancelo, and I've totally forgotten his name now. Who's their right back? Ian Walker. So there's a lot of players that aren't there, and the players that have come in, I don't know if Nunez is a fullback. I'm not sure about. I'm not as sure as I was about Tijani Reinders when I put him in my fantasy Premier League team. He's not there anymore. I think it'll be a close contest, and so it should be. Facts. That's a triggering word for me right now because so many people use the word facts for opinions because they know if they just say opinion, then everyone will go, I don't need your opinion. How many opinions do we need on any subject? No one's getting blocked. You only get blocked here if you say something horrible to one of the chat. I cannot have that because it's a community we're building here. Everyone's entitled. Man City. God, we used to have a Tottenham fan came in regularly, but I don't know if he could take it anymore. If we get through December on top, it'll be a good race. I think it'll be a good race anyway. I still have it down to about 6 points. I think they're on 92 and we're on 86. So really, it comes down to they're on 92 if they beat us at the Etihad, which I'm predicting they're going to, and we'll be on 89 if they don't. So that game is pivotal, and it doesn't happen until quite late in the season. Kobe says, I don't think people realise that City could go ahead of us and we'd still win the league. It's a long season. We've got to support our team until the last game. Comment of the day so far. Thank you. And this is what I'm saying. Look, this is the theory. Join me if you believe this to be true also. I actually think that most Arsenal fans, most football fans are sober-minded, rational people who don't change their mind every 15 minutes to get likes and clicks. And so, all of this, Gyök is dead. And then a week later having to go, Gyök is a baller. Gyök is dead, Gyök is a baller. And all of that. This is not how normal people enjoy football. And the word that I'm using at the moment is enjoy. And I don't think a lot of people have any idea what I'm talking about. When you look at all these people who are making a living out of bitching about Arsenal, I don't see any enjoyment. I see a lot of misery. And I think, is it a generational thing? Because I'm not doing it. I don't involve myself in football because I want to be more miserable than I was before I started watching. Colliston, I noticed that little stat on our next games. Yeah, I got to be honest, you've caught me out with that one. I did not know that. I don't know if it's true either. Didn't we draw at Brighton? Oh, you said we didn't beat any of them. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Yeah, we drew. But I think we'll beat Villa at home. I think we could still do Brighton. Come on, it all counts. This Saturday, it all comes down to do we beat Everton at the as yet unnamed ground. Evening, Rosie's here, Fandabidozi. There's only one Fandabidozi. I love it when you're here. Oh, God, I realised this is why Zanzi's not up here yet. I don't like to presume Zanzi, but get your ass up here, come on. And anyone else who wants to have a say, my finger will, if I don't know you, my finger will be hovering for some time on the click and out button. But I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear from you. I want to have a sensible conversation. I'm prepared to have my mind changed. Let me just say, I have, from the start of the season, been predicting a Manchester City will win the Premier League. And I know it's sickening and I know it's gutting. And I can only imagine the level of dissatisfaction that will permeate the fan base, that Arteta will have to go. Everything will have to be torn down. We'll have to start again. But don't come in here expecting me to start saying, oh, we're the best team in the world. We're the best team in... I'm just saying, pragmatically, based on the evidence of the last 5 years, you would expect Man City to win the league. So if that's true, if you feel that way, what I'm really interested in is hearing why you think that. Why do you think, what's gone wrong? And don't just come in here and go Arteta like it's the first idea anyone's ever had. Surely, if you're stupid enough to go around saying, Arteta in or Arteta out, you must be aware that there's other people doing it. Now, we have a couple of people backstage that I must introduce you to. One needs very little introduction at all. He is, without question... face here at the Adams Arms. Zandy.
That is fact.
Fuck off. Facts and facts. I don't know what a fact is. The guy in the comments earlier that was going, and Rosie said to him, oh, is it a fact that Man City won the league? When did they win it? And he went, February, what did he say? He said February 14th, I think. It's like, fucking hell. Some people, you realise you're arguing with someone who's so stupid. The signature 7585, it was a huge 3 points regardless. I am assuming you're thinking of the Wolves game. We needed the 3 points, we got the 3 points. In the end, wash your face and move on. I'm just going to rattle through. We've got someone backstage to bring on in a moment. Rosie, not the same without you. It's not the same without... look how happy everyone is when you get here.
Dan?
We're going to get your... Yes?
We have echo again.
Can anyone else hear echo?
Yes.
Shut up, Andy.
Okay.
Let me get through this. Don't interrupt me.
Sorry.
It's only our fan base discrediting our win. Exactly. Hawkwind says Rosie with that lovely emoji. And Tyrell Gunner TV. Make sure you're subscribing to Tyrell. Big up, Dan. Big up yourself, mate. Gluminati are like weathermen that always tells you it's going to rain. And when it doesn't rain, there's a brilliant book by Nate Silverman called The Signal and Noise, in which he describes the fact that local weather stations always tell you it's going to rain, so that you'll be happy when it doesn't. Gluminati are like weathermen. I've just read that. What am I doing? It's like I've never done this before. I've never heard of a winning team with such self-defeating, self-limiting fan base as Arsenal. And I don't think it's going to get any better if we win, mate. Let's be honest, we need to be able to come from behind. We'll need to chase City at times. Yep, they are going to get ahead of us. I think that's fair. I'm putting out a warning. If only any negative things to say tonight and can't back it up, you'll be removed. Well said, Rosie. Get them out. Someone in his fan base basically telling us not to dream because of our dreams come true. Like, piss off, mate. Why are you even in football? I don't know. Why are they in football? Jordan Booman, we are the best in the world and we will win the Prem. I believe that 100% and the team won't let me down. Wow. I love it that you're so confident. I'm not sure about how I feel yet. Cantor did a good rant about fans leaving the ground early. Totally agree. It's hard, right, when people... listen, that is perfect. Calm Waters 1. That is a very good name, mate. I do find it irritating because a lot of people will never get to see a game, and so to leave early seems a bit unfair. Choddy boy, I'm a United fan, but sorry, I want Man City to win the league, so I'm taking encouragement from that performance against Wolves. Fair enough. Maybe I can take encouragement from it was a fabulous game yesterday. Fabulous game. We're always talking ball. Would you allow people to jump on a live via StreamYard? Yeah, the link is there. In fact, I'm about to welcome someone now. So it's Bobby. Bobby, lovely to see you.
How you
How
doing,
might I
Nate?
know you?
Okay.
Have you been in before?
I've not. This is my first time.
Oh, a virgin.
Wonderful. The cherry is popping.
Completely.
What prompted you to jump on with us? I'm glad you did.
I was. It's the first time I've come across the channel. To be honest, I was just scrolling, and I was just intrigued. To be honest, I am an Arsenal fan. Full clarity, not just. It wasn't that much of a random scroll, so I am an Arsenal
welcome,
fan.
Bobby. Even if
I
you
do realise what we're talking about here. It's not just like just jumping.
No,
we
have had Chelsea fans on before. We've had different flavours of fans. So let me what kind of how would you, we don't use labels here, so it's not like top gooner, bottom gooner shit like that. But give me a bit of an insight into how you're feeling about this season and generally the team, the management.
I'll be completely honest. I think our team management's been incredible. I think we're at a point whereby anybody who's complaining about the form of the team, if you take a wider view of it, and if you asked Man City fans, would they like to be in our position right now, top of the Champions League, 2 points clear of, just say, Arsenal that they were ahead of, and in the quarterfinals, they'd snap your arms after it. Liverpool, any other team in the league right now would dream to be in our position, being 2 points ahead, and having all their key players due to come back. So I'm very optimistic, and I'm like yourself that I believe we have to come from a chasing position at some point in the league. To believe we can stay ahead of City throughout the season is unrealistic. Do I think we can hit a much better set of form? Yes. But do I think the result of the weekend was horrendous? No. Sorry, the performance, do I think it was horrendous? I think it wasn't great, but I think the point is we got 3 really crucial points, and the main thing that came out of it is discontent from the players. They were frustrated. So that frustration will channel through to Everton's game and lead us forward as well. So I don't think it's a case of if we'd played well, I don't think he'd be given us a shaked us up, really. So I think sometimes you need a performance like that. And the fact that we won a game and the players, the manager, the players and the managers were frustrated will bode well this weekend.
I love. Do you know what? This is the kind of the idea, really. Like when you see so much, it's so much harder to have a calm conversation and get attention. You know, like everything you're saying, I find it really interesting because obviously I was disappointed with the Wolves game. I'm sure we all were. But actually, when I watched it back for the second time, it became apparent that it wasn't a terrible performance. What really drove me mad about it was like the way that the players seemed to have just given in at the end and gone, right, we'll protect this 1-0 lead against Wolves, which is the worst strategy anyway. Overall, we missed some chances that if they'd gone in, if Martinelli's header goes in, if Gyökeres stretches his foot a bit further, if we're 3 or 4-1 up, no one's talking about it, you know? So really, the meltdowns have all happened because we only just beat someone, and that's a really weird situation to be in. But the other point that I'm really glad you made is that, yeah, I've been looking at the forecasts of this season. I do expect that Man City, they have a more comfortable run of games coming up than we do. If they do what Man City teams used to consistently do and win every game coming up, then they will be on 41 points. And I don't see us beating Everton away, Brighton and Aston Villa, honestly. So, and I don't necessarily think I'd have a meltdown if we got a draw at Everton and a draw with Villa. I know that most of the fans would, but that's just not who I am. So, really pleased to have you. I think what we want to just have is a community where it's absolutely all right to disagree with each other, but that there is a place to hear people who aren't necessarily just saying things to get attention. So, Zanzi, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, I was going to actually say that Bobby looks like he's in a nightclub just before everyone comes in. Visit all the wallpaper in the background.
It's not wallpaper. You're in a garden, aren't you?
I'm not, unfortunately. I kind of wish I was now. It's one of these.
That's cool.
I think I've got something on the TV on the background, so it just looks like a really illuminated light.
Yeah, it looks like lights. It's looking good. I'm going to go through some of the chat. Don't want to leave them out. They are the reason we're all here. Oi, Nate, fellas. Essex Schooner. The signature, does that every stream. Who does what every stream? I've missed something. Would you all like to jump on a live? Oh yeah, of course. What's your handle? Are you on in the chat somewhere so that I know not to?
That's me that asked them for the live
brilliant.
stream.
Okay, gotcha. Dan usually posts a link when he's done reading the messages. Great, I'll jump. That's it, right? So I've just caught up. You see what I mean? That's unsuitable.
I was going to confess to it a bit earlier, to be honest with you.
That unsustainable talk went awfully quiet after the Bayern and Spurs game. I listen. No one, I don't think, should feel like they'd have to defend the position that being shit every game and getting 3 points is good enough to be champions. Champions do usually have a little bit of confidence about them, but champions can usually dig it out. Last season, Liverpool weren't really challenged at any point. There were a couple of times they went a couple of goals down and they turned it around, and I feel like we might be in that position now. But last season, they had it to themselves. They didn't have any pressure put on them. This season, we are going to experience some pressure from Man City. And if we're going to be champions, the players need to deal with it. And I don't see any signs at the moment that they're not dealing with it just because we had a bad game against Wolves. I think the game against Villa has been totally mislabelled. We were as good as Villa. It was a 50-50. They won it. Sucker punch at the end. If it had been the other way round, I wouldn't be sitting here saying that we smashed them or whatever. So I think everyone just needs to stay calm. The point I've been making consistently is at the 16th game week, I did not see us on 36 points. I just didn't.
For me, to be honest with you, the only thing I kind of saw the game in a slightly different way, to be honest, the one on the weekend. So when we scored the first goal, I was more than happy with us shutting shop up at that point because I kind of had the fear that we could potentially draw that game. So the fact that we actually were ahead and we were prepared to protect the lead and win, obviously they drew and then we went on to win. But I didn't feel that was the worst decision point at that moment in time.
Who do you think made that decision though? Because Arteta's disclaimed that. He said he thought it was a really stupid thing to do to sit back. And I have to say, watching that last 5 minutes again, you just think, I know Zanzi and I have talked about this before, we don't have an out ball. It's like we put all 11 players behind the ball. At least leave a fast player up there because we're just hoofing the ball and it's coming straight back and we're not able to get it away quickly enough.
I've got a feeling there was a bit of anxiety from the players. You got to bear in mind, obviously, the West Midlands previous week in terms of conceding very late on. And they probably have got a bit of anxiety. And the fact that they're prepared to shut up shop and obviously... I know everybody's saying, oh, it's Wolverhampton. We've got to bear in mind Wolverhampton beat, even though they're not beating anyone at all. So
drew with Spurs, though.
Drew with Spurs, but
should have won that game.
I think it's just a case of we just got to remember that there's going to be times where I'll be more than happy with a 1-0 win, even if it was against Wolves, and we would have moaned. But if that meant we'd learned our lesson and obviously did hoof the ball. And unfortunately, we did concede a bit of a sloppy goal, but I just think we've got this whole context around how we're performing at the minute, but I think we need to look at it from a much different spectrum because in a couple of weeks we've got Kai Havertz back and that changes a lot. It really does. And then Gabby should be back big Gabby should be back in Jan. There's so much to look forward to, there really is. And I think everybody that's got on Eze's back and Gyökeres is back. It's just way too much. It was only a couple of games scored a hat-trick and Gyökeres looked really sharp before he got injured. So it's just I think the fact that we're chasing City and Haaland's in the greatest form he's been now, people have got this context of, oh, we need a Haaland. There isn't another Haaland in the universe. There isn't. So Gyökeres was never going to be him. Isak's not going to be him.
So I think there's a couple of points there. I mean, like as you really said, like we have to get used to it. I like the idea that this gives us some prep for the game. If it had been a 1-0, I don't think anyone would have had a big problem with it. Those kinds of things. The idea though of like, all right, so they've got Haaland in good form right now. Foden's in good form right now. Cherky looks decent. But the rest of the Man City side don't frighten me that much. What about you? What do you think?
Sorry, was that to myself or?
Just anyone with a voice who can help me.
For me personally, I'd say we've got players that are just as significant. I'd say I'm fearful of that setup in terms of informed Foden and what Shirky's doing in Holland, only because I've seen what they can do in a title chase. So I can see how they can be navigated by Guardiola to do that. But I wouldn't say I'm fearful. I think we've got, you got to bear in mind, Saka got 2 assists this game. Madueke's looked really sharp. There's been some really great performances in our team. And once we've got Gabriel back and we've got Saliba paired up, being fully fit, I think they've got more players to fear than we have. So if you flip the script and you ask Man City,
They
which
won't be
players
honest.
from that Arsenal would they
They're not
take?
going to be honest. They're doing the whole "we are the great white shark, we're catching you." I find it so amusing. They're probably every generation has its glory hunters. It was Man United, and then it was Chelsea, and now it's Man City. All of these fans from far-flung parts of the world who go, listen, I'm no different. If you said to me, what's your favourite Italian club? I don't say Como. You know, I'm going to say Juventus, Inter Milan, AC Milan. So as a fan from abroad, but then they get so invested in it, and it's always, I'm winning this and I'm winning that. And they have won. They have been the side of the last 10 years. We can get into a separate conversation, and I'm sure some of us would like to, about whether they've done that the same route that other teams have done it. But they have been imperious, but I think they are stuck in the past a little bit if they think this team... I mean, like, for example, why aren't they doing better in the Champions League? You know, why aren't they top of the league? If they're so strong, what are they waiting for? Are they just doing this for kicks? Did they lose to Brighton just to make it fun for them? No, they lost against Brighton. They lost against... When they go to Villa Park and lose, no one talks about it. When we go to Villa Park and lose, it's like, oh, you're not champions. The stat that I thought was interesting is the 4 games they've lost this season, we've already played 3 of those teams and we've taken 6 points. Why is all of this happening if we should be so scared of them? Your point is very well observed. The reality is, if we were having a rational conversation with any one of the many rational Man City fans and we were saying, like, how do you feel? It's okay, look, you're doing better than us at the moment, but it's close and we have to support our team, and that's how most rational fans behave, isn't it? This idea that you have to be totally obnoxious and you have to be totally like, we're the best team, you're shit, and you have to... I like banter. I love football banter. If someone says something funny, I'm all over it. But this banter is shanter by now. You know, like bottlers. Funny. You know, people who leave comments in videos I do that don't watch the video, they just have the same boring joke that they've heard 100 times before. That's the massive people that are the kind of new age YouTube football fan that doesn't really understand about the reason why we support football clubs. But that brings me to I have a question for you, Bobby.
Sure.
I want to do this more, actually. Zanti's backstory of why he's a fan is really interesting. What made you? Is it just local club? Is it that you've always supported, your family have always supported? What made you an Arsenal fan?
So it's definitely not a local club. I'm all the way up in the northwest.
It sounds like you might be.
And but it's been a family thing, so whereby we've all been fans, but mainly during the Wenger era that I fell in love with Arsenal, but more so football as a whole. I was more of a casual fan up until the Arsene Wenger days, and then I just admired everything, even during the bleakest days whereby we were selling all our players. I kind of really respected what he tried to build and tried to build with the youth, and just his creative way of playing. And I think what Arteta's done now has been so innovative in terms of how many styles of play he's created, the fact that he's changed the complete DNA of the club to make him physical now. It's like seeing Wenger in a whole new different form again now, to be honest.
It's a little bit. I always think it's a little bit more in kin to what George Graham did, actually, than what Wenger did. He's had a different kind of club to take over it, you know. But that's brilliant. So I happened upon a YouTube channel recently called Scouse Gooner, and it was just really funny because, like, you do get Arsenal fans from everywhere, really. Like, you would get fans from anywhere, but you don't get a lot of Scouse Gunners. So it was like really
Wow.
interesting.
I think I saw that one too, to be honest.
Yeah, I just love it. I think it's just part of what I love about football. It's inclusive. You say you're
Could
an
I
Arsenal
ask
fan.
you? Can I ask you both a question, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
We all seem like we're rational fans here, so I'm very unbiased, and I can say when a player's good and when they're not. From that Man City team, if you take your Arsenal hat off, how many of those players? Well, we'll do it the other way around. How many of the current Arsenal 11 get into the Man City 11?
Well, I think the Donnarumma, David Raya question at the moment goes to David Raya because although I think Donnarumma was just outstanding against us in the Champions League, and he's pretty much a huge part of the reason Paris Saint-Germain won it. I haven't seen that from him, and Martinelli chipped him. That was a sort of moment I loved this season already. So I'd take our keeper. I don't think I could leave Timber, Gabriel and Saliba out of any side, if I'm honest. I'm still not sure Calafiori, but I don't see a better fullback in their side. So maybe the back five is us. Declan Rice gets into Man City's team for me. We start to look a little bit thin at Saka. It's the age-old question: do you like Saka or Foden? And I don't think I can deal with it, to be honest with you. So it's
Zubimendi?
Huh?
Zubimendi?
All right, Zubimendi's a tough one because I've kind of gone at it like with a little bit of you know what, I'm really enjoying Zubimendi. I think he's really good, but you'd expect him to take a bit of time to get used to the team. He hasn't played well in recent games. He's been a little bit hit and miss, and it's not easy to see that he would get into a Man City team, in fairness. Joseph keeps saying, let's see, and I agree with that. I'm going to just rattle through some of the comments because it's the best bit of the show, really. Indeed, if we're points, it doesn't say much for the other 19 teams in the league or other teams. So quiet in the vertical. I don't know what. There's all sorts of gremlins in the system today. I've done everything I can. Can you let me know if the sound quality's still not great? Zanzi, are you still getting echo?
Oh yeah. I've even sent you a WhatsApp about it.
I saw that. I don't know what to do about it.
Put your headphones on.
Well, I will. When Zanzi speaks, Danzi listens. Hang on.
But in answer to what Bobby was saying, I'm probably saying exactly what Dan's already said about who gets into the Man City team. It's got to be our back five. Definitely Rice. Maybe Zubi, but I don't know yet. But I do love him. Saka, I'd take him over Foden because he's a gooner.
The only reason I asked that was just purely so it puts things into context for people that go on about Haaland, Foden, and Shirky. It's so limited the amount of players you'd actually take the opposite way. So when you look into it, it's just to give a bit of context that we have got more players that City would want than alternatively. Obviously, Haaland's world class. That's all it was. It was just to get your thoughts. It was nice to see that you're both rational thinkers as well.
But I found it funny, sorry, Dan, what Bobby said about the bleak years when he's been supporting Arsenal. Bobby obviously wasn't supporting Arsenal in the mid-70s when we finished 15th and 16th in the league, and it was shite.
Or in the 90s, we've just hit 1,996 subscribers, and I have to tell you, that was not a good year. 95 was not a good... 95 was one of my worst years as an Arsenal fan. Get to one final with 15th in the league, and we got beaten by an ex-Tottenham player in the Cup Winners' Cup, you know. There were, but the difference was we weren't Arsenal fans because we expected to win things. We were Arsenal fans because we were Arsenal fans. You fall in love with the club. Everyone's reasons are the same. I love, you know, I said this on Sunday when I started supporting. I was really one of them, like, I go to all the games. Anyone who doesn't go to the game isn't a proper fan. And I'm an older guy now, and I'm like, no, I love that there are people who interact with Arsenal Football Club, don't necessarily get to go to games. Scouse Gunner that I was talking about, he doesn't get to go to many of the games, but he loves the club, reads about it, the history of it, loves it. It's a really uniting thing, and it's cheapened by this nonsense when people call us bottlers. And also, I have to say, Arsenal fans do a little bit too much. They're easily provoked. And, you know, if someone says to me, are you Arteta in or Arteta out? And I always just think, well, how many times would you ask the team top of the Champions League and the Premier League if they want to sack their manager? Why am I having this conversation? Can we talk about Ruben Amorim? Can we talk about, you know, Arne Slot? Can we talk about Eddie Howe?
You know, why are we bigging up Unai Emery for being third? What phase is he in? All of these things. I just think I'm not doing it anymore. I'll have a rational conversation with someone, and if someone wants to know my rational opinion, I think I put Man City slightly ahead based on their performance over the last 5 years. But this isn't necessarily that team, right? So I'm going to rattle through these. Exactly, young lady, it's bollocks, anything to hate on the manager. I do think that if the weather changes, people will blame Arteta for it. And how's a diagonal, Rosie? I don't... Shut up. Coles, they all take the piss out of me because the background decal that I've got is on a slight wonk. And I know it is. I was a bit hasty putting it up. Will the result against Everton shed more light on the Wolves result? Bobby, I think you said something really, really good. Well, many things. But the one thing that stood out in context in the relation to this was, is this the sort of kick up the arse they need? They've got a week off now. You can't blame fatigue. And we have to say they had a wake-up call. Yeah. They had a wake-up call. And I think if it was on me, if I was a manager, I would be very calmly saying to them, don't ever do that again. Don't ever get to 5 minutes from the end of a game and just try and defend it. Because this is a consistent problem for us. When we got a man down to Brighton, we sat back and tried to defend it and drop points. When we were a man down against City, okay, away to City with a man down, you expect us to play defensively, but there's no outball. There's no one to find that could exploit counter-attack, occupy one or two of their players. So I think that overall, that was a worry for me. But by and large, this season has gone much better than I expected it to, given the games we've played. And so I'm staying cautiously optimistic. If we can see out the next 16 games, we put ourselves in a position to win the league if we do what we've done so far. And we don't have to go away to Anfield. We don't have to go to St James's Park. We don't have to go to Villa Park. We don't have to go to Old Trafford. We don't have to go to some of the big places that we normally drop points. And we are going to drop points this season. It is going to be seesaw. Man City, I mean, I don't think they'll lose to West Ham. But if they do, will all the talk suddenly bounce back to us again? I had a prune. I saw your comment earlier, Box Fresh, about it not letting you change your name back. Rude One Star's a great name anyway. Joking, everyone does. Everyone does seem to want to date you, Rosie. Gyok is only topical because people had expectations on him that just aren't justified off that Portuguese league film. They can talk about UCL, but they don't credit Arteta's exploits in the UCL. They don't. I mean, Arteta's exploits in the Champions League far outpace what Wenger was able to do. I was at all 6 of his first Champions League home games in the 2 seasons, and we were fucking dreadful. Come back in 60 years. Joseph joined the queue. Cole, Dan's wall art is sideways, not long ways. I read that so wrong. Henry's quote about Wenger teaching him to work out what his teammates need works both ways. VG14 needs to adapt, but they need to adapt him to his positioning and the runs, etc. Cole, not surprisingly, another great comment from you. I want to come back to that, guys. I do want to talk about Gyökeres because I think it's just such a topic of conversation at the moment. Sisters before misters always. We drew a lot of games last season, but that was a Sterling and 17-year-old Wanyeri is covered for the entire attacking unit. Very well put. Don't be negative. Exactly. Why are people so negative? Jose, if I could put in a strong performance against Moyes and take another 3 points, I look at the Wolves result a bit more favourably. I think that's a really reasonable way to look at it. Always chicks before dicks, fries before guys. Fucking hell. Toxic femininity right there. Reinders is a baller in my opinion. I thought so too. I had him in my fantasy Premier League start season. He's kind of let me down. I would marry Rosie just for a cooking. Cheers, Hawkwind. How have you been? African Cup of Nations will play a part here. We don't have any other top teams do. It's so annoying that City play Sunderland after 5 of their team go to the AFCON. It's a totally different setup. And then they'll be like, well, we beat Sunderland. Why couldn't you? And we'll be able to say, but we don't lose to Tottenham at home. Right, so I'm getting through these. I mean, shit, I can't get Rosie to block me and I espouse bacon and banana pizza. Just so you know, Bobby, Boy Tendio has this idea that bacon and banana goes on a pizza topping, just so you're in jokes. I know. I think we would get 90 points with a fit squad. I say 89. That's if we beat City away, we'll get 89. I'm okay, a bit muggy head, could be a fluke. I mean, there's a lot of it about. I don't get the gloom. That's not what football is for, regardless of people's expectations or beliefs for the team and the manager. I think every single week we do a show like this, I say, look around the world, man. It's shit. If you're not using football as a distraction from that, and if your idea of a distraction is to be more miserable at something Arteta did or did not do than the rest of the world, then you're kind of missing the point of football, I would say. Now, coffee, good shout. As Yank say, coffee. That's just weird, Joseph. Right, I'm getting through these at a right old trot. Wait there. I'm definitely marrying you, Rosie. Is a bit of a weird thing to say. Doesn't she get saying that? Let's stick to football. If Joseph, let's not get personal. What's Joseph been saying? I keep missing all the... I think Rosie deals with these really well. Come to see Zanzi. Oh, I love the... well, how do we feel about the Zubimendi? Last season, I gave you... Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The next day, you gave it away. This year, I give it to someone. I'll give it to Zubimendi. Mendy. I just think... I love it, but it's so stupid. Clockenders probably sings that with full chest at the games. Right, tiny bit.
I thought that was really funny, actually, that Zuby song.
Yeah, although I did hear. Did I hear whose fans? Was it Bournemouth fans were singing something similar? So we are nicking each other's chance a bit. I can hear an echo too. I can hear an echo too. Zanzi, you are so funny. That shithawk. Everyone seems to be unwell at the moment. It is. And now, on a serious note, Arsenal fans, like most fans, are a reflection of society. A fucking nervous wreck. Yeah, it's true. I hate to be the old guy that says what happened to a generation of young people. I had role models on the terraces who would have stood there stoically and they might have shaken their head a little bit, but they weren't like, I'm fuming, I'm fuming. It's like there's only 3 words you ever hear: disgrace, disgusted, and fuming. I want to buy everybody a thesaurus. Always exotic bugs going around at Christmas time. Bobby sounds like he's streaming from a well. Oh, God. It's not just me. Streaming from Doncaster. Everyone has an agenda against Arsenal. Man United have overtaken Arsenal for set-piece goals. But if we labelled set-piece FC... I like that they call us set-piece FC. I absolutely adopt all of the negative comments people say about us. I have been since the George Graham era when they said we were boring Arsenal. I'm like, yep. The one chant that will trigger me if I hear it, and it's normally in the northeast, is same old Arsenal, always cheating. And it's usually after one of them's tried to kill one of our players and he's gotten hurt. And then they're like, you're cheating. Right, where am I? Rosie, what did you have for lunch? Honestly, we need to do an entirely different stream just for Rosie. We're top of the league and by everyone's reckoning we haven't hit form yet and we've had to deal with all these injuries. We're not allowed to talk about injuries. Oh, I see Dan's mic is picking up his speakers, so we have echo. I see. It can't be that. The mic's not plugged in.
No, it's you sorted out with the headphones now.
Well done. Thank you for that. That was I wouldn't have thought of that. Underwhelming and lackluster came to mind. That has to be the definition of winning ugly. Yeah. I think it's different if you're my age because I saw 89. I saw us lose to Derby and draw Wimbledon. I've seen so many shit games and we still won the league. The one that always stands out for me is December 13th, 1997. At home to Blackburn in Wenger's, first title-winning season, but we didn't know it was then. And every fan was phoning in going, this bloke's a joke, he doesn't know what he's doing, you can't play Patrick Vieira and Manuel Petit in the same midfield, they're too defensive, it doesn't work. Sometimes, that's why they're not facts, they're opinions. 100%. It's rivals don't pay attention, very well said, Joseph. Arteta was fuming about that, the way they went into a shell at the end, having to play the game. I've seen it all too often. It's a natural thing when you're winning to do. I think it's just tiredness and just wanting to hold on to something. It's the worst way to be.
If you watch the players after that Wolves game, it was almost as though they'd lost. And I think that was good because you actually you learn more from your defeats than you do from your wins. So if they've gone into that thinking, right, we could have lost that, we'll have to do something special next weekend. So yeah. I think we'll come out blazing.
I hope so. It's a really tough game for us away to Everton, and I can't really say why. We've had some terrible performances. Calvert-Lewin's goals stand out for me. The Sean Dyche game after Frank Lampard was sacked in that first season we were gunning for the title. You just have to look at it and go, on past performances, I'd predict a draw against Everton, but this isn't that team. We have a better squad. We don't have the same injury crisis we've had other times we've gone there. Calm waters. Arteta is a manager that took us out of depression, so he needs to be allowed to have this season full support. Strap yourself in.
because it will be done to a point. Yeah, I love the sentiment of that, and I think that's how I feel. It's like, it's all very well saying Arteta doesn't know what he's doing, but the people saying that don't know what they're doing either. You know, people get really angry because the rest of the fan base isn't as angry as them, and then they say the rest of the fan base is a problem. It's like, in a situation like this, instead of just going, why is my opinion so niche? Why doesn't everyone see the world as me? Why is the stadium full of happy fans? I saw the most obnoxious comment I saw this week following the Wolves game was, how comes the players weren't booed off at full time? It's like, it sets a dangerous precedent to boo your winning team off the pitch. And I don't think they felt like it. And I don't think I ever want to tell a fan how they celebrate. If you're a Gluminati sort of fan and you just want to be miserable, I'm not going to tell you not to be. It's okay. I think he thought about becoming a Celtic fan, but then he wanted a lower calibre club, hence the Arsenal supporting. They're talking about why you started supporting. Bless. Wolves lost. But the other thing I want to say about the Wolves game, actually, this reminds me. I think this is fair, isn't it? The games Wolves have played this season, they have really gone at teams. They went to Man United and lost and got torn apart. But when they came to play at Arsenal, it was exactly the same, defensive performance that we've been struggling against. But then all teams struggle against that. Man City struggle against it. They couldn't get more than a goal at death against us when we were down to 10 men. It's very hard to score against a team if you're out of ideas. I was surprised at some of the substitutions. I thought Martinelli probably should have come on instead of started. Trossard looked so much better against the low block. We are going to come back to the Gyökeres, so I'm just going to go through these comments. I think the self-defeating segment of the fan base should watch some classic Prem highlights back. It's not uncommon for relegation candidates to score title challenges. I think if every really miserable Arsenal fan wanted to stay miserable, they'd have to go and watch the last 22 years of our club and then see, is this better or worse? And if it's better, then chill out for a bit, eh? This season will make or break Arteta's career, in my opinion. Probably not his career, Jose. I think it will make or break his time at Arsenal, though. People do need to calm down. Arteta's safe. I don't know if that's true. This is the ebb and flow of the season. I need lots of folks to act like they've been here before, not all this fresh-faced shit where they all punk out like rookies. But they are. They are. Did you see the Giroud segment on Sky Sports? Yes, I did. We'll talk about that in a bit. Giroud missed 15 chances that would have been easier to score than miss when Leicester beat us. That was tough when he was talking about how we nearly won against Leicester. And I was like, yeah, we did, didn't we? If only we'd had a really prolific striker at the time. Big teams will lose their big players to African Cup of Nations soon. Well, I don't know. Will they? It's only Mo Salah going. 1,000%. Oh, don't do that. Box fresh is only 100%. Percent means out of 100. Please, I have my pedantries. I must not forgo. Arteta made us who we are today. Be grateful. Joseph, that's going to trigger everyone. That's going to. I can feel the Gluminati sharpening their knives on you right now. We were here long before him. It's Arsenal FC, not Arteta FC. And I kind of agree with them as well. He didn't make us, but he's definitely lifted us from the mire. Ozil laid him up so many chances. It was like John Stockton or something, the way he was putting Giroud in front of goal and he skied them. I still love Giroud. I don't know why. I think it's because he was an Arsenal player. We need to keep up Arteta for the next 10 years. Now, come on. Guardiola and Cherky, Reinders and Haaland. I like Guardiola, actually, but I don't think he gets into our side. And if I haven't read your comment, I'm so sorry. Was this Chris Nixon there? There he is. Hey, sweethearts. Lovely to see you, mate. If Arsenal have the same mentality, still striving for greatness and have the same quality in the team, I wouldn't see any reason that Arteta wouldn't still manage Arsenal. Thank you, Rosie. Malia, very random. I give you that. Seeing the dudes that you might excite him taking about Purple Dinosaurs child play. I don't know what any of that is. I'm well. Just back from watching Panto. It is the season. Oh, no, you didn't. Right. So where are we? I'm going to just... Anyone else who wants to be read out, type your post again. Cesar Rodriguez. Why does it feel that our fan base is getting impatient with Gyökeres? Still has more goals than Isak. Yeah. I said this before the game on the weekend. I said, he scored 4 goals and is a flop, and Ekitike scored 5 goals and is a sensation. It doesn't actually make sense if you try and look at it rationally. I think it's better to just read a book than a thesaurus. Yeah, none of them are doing that. As a fan, I was running on fumes until Berta did his magic in a transfer window. That's fair. I think we'd all agree with that. And Mortlicky, Texas is here. Arteta lacks the experience of managing a team to the Premier League champions. That's relevant in experience. Yeah, Arnie Slot had never won a Premier League either, though.
I have the expectation because the squad in previous years he'd had big peaks and deep troughs or just didn't have the bodies required. Keep Arteta, we could have easily gone through what Man United is going through since Fergie. Very good point. And I've actually caught up so we can have a good chat now. Don't get me wrong, Dan. I quite like what Giroud made of it himself post-Arsenal. And some of the goals he scored for us were. So, I mean, the one that won the Puskás Award, a scorpion kick, that's not easy to do.
Crystal Palace goal.
Was it against Palace? I can't remember who was playing.
Scorpion goal.
I've tried that in the garden every day since, and it's never quite come off to the same degree. What do we want to talk about next? Is it Gyökeres? Is there a lot to say about this? Because I think that one of the problems with being a sort of rational community of people is that we most of us are just going to go, he has only just got here. You know, this idea of we've got to change our entire style of play to suit him. I don't know. I don't know if we do really. What do you think, Zanzi?
I think that if you look at the times that we've had the ball in midfield and they are not defending, or the opposition not defending on the penalty box, but halfway up their side of the pitch, and you see the ones that Gyökeres is doing, that Martinelli is doing, that Saka's doing, and then our midfielders sort of look and then they pass it backwards or sideways, and I think, just lob the ball over. But then we tried to do that against Wolves, and we kept hitting the ball. And we did that loads of times against Wolves.
I think there are some issues in terms of how static we are and how many touches we take on the ball. Like if you could speed it up a little bit, if you could have the eyes to know. The frustrating thing for me watching the Wolves game back is so many of the games, Man United last season, we're standing around. And if you don't make a run, you're not drawing a defender out of position, and it makes it harder for the player on the ball to find you. And they're not trying the lower percentage passes. So, Bobby, what do you think? On the Gyökeres thing, do you think there's a conversation to be had?
Me personally, I think Giroud came up with a really good comment. He goes, you need a different type of player for every single situation. You may not be an elite striker in terms of the same capacity as Haaland, but I think what he offers us, once that clicks, is going to give us so many different options. I think at the moment what we're looking at is probably... So, for example, you've seen Odegaard take shots from distance. You've seen him play through balls. I think when Zubimendi's not so tired, we're going to see a bit more chemistry there. I think there's going to be so many different options with Gyökeres further down the line. And I think once that chemistry sits and we've got so many different attacking outputs in terms of options, whether that's when Gabriel's back in terms of an aerial threat from set pieces, if that's threading a ball through to Gyökeres, whether that's the likes of Odegaard or Eze shooting from a distance or somebody overlap. We've got so many different options that are going to click at some point in this season. So as long as we're within reach, I think Gyökeres isn't a problem. I think Gyökeres is going to be great. And if you look at some of the players that have been bought within that same price range, I don't think we need to be blowing it out of proportion. I do personally feel that he'll come really good, and I think once all those definitive different styles of play have established and we've had a good run of them with fewer injuries, I think we'll get to see the best of Gyökeres, and I think that's coming very soon. Whether that's if he clicks and performs better for us from March onwards and we win the league, and let's say Havertz pops up, we've got 4 to 5 really good options there. So it's not like Man City where he's the only outlet. We're quite blessed in that situation, I think.
I don't necessarily have the same level of... I think I always go back to, if you win the league and Gyökeres has scored 8 goals, it doesn't matter. He won the league. I think a lot of fans were expecting that you could take a player, bring him in, and the goals he scored would add to the goals you normally score. And that's a little bit delusional. That when everyone wanted us to sign Ivan Toney because he had 20 goals a season in him, that season 6 of his goals were penalties. And I thought, well, we already score our penalties, so that's 14 goals you add. They wanted us to sign him in January, so you've got to figure that's 6 goals that he adds. Does 6 goals always make a difference? Well, it depends. If they're all match winners, then yes, then that's 12 points difference. But they're not usually, are they? I think this is a squad game. It's a team sport. I don't care if Gyökeres doesn't score another goal, if he pulls players out of position or he's in the right places. I think this idea that we've all got to adapt to him, there's some truth in it, that players have to learn his movements. I think Thierry Henry, Ian Wright was talking about this, Thierry Henry has talked about this. These strikers that know more about football than I will ever know. And they kind of made the point that Ian Wright was saying you've got to go after your goals. And Thierry Henry was like saying you've got to learn what happens when a certain player is on the ball, how they're going to want to play it. And once that chemistry is developed, just like you said, we will see him have great games. His goal against Leeds surprised me. I didn't see that he had that in him in this league. He gets pushed off the ball a little bit easily for my liking, given that he's a huge lump. But I don't care how any single individual player plays. I care only how the team plays. And we've had some stunning performances this season, and we've had some not very good performances, but the not very good performances we've had haven't all been defeats. The Wolves game was a win, the Villa game was a defeat, the Liverpool game was a defeat, and the Chelsea game was a draw. So our 4 worst performances, and we've still managed 4 points out of it.
I think the bigger context to that as well is if you pull out all of these players, let's say Havertz, if Havertz is fit for a full season, he scores you 20 Premier League goals.
Yeah,
If Mourinho is played in that position, I think you'd be quite confident of him scoring 15 to 20 Premier League goals if he was played in that position throughout. Same again with a fit Jesus would score within this team would score 15 goals. So if you take into account that Gyökeres could do potentially that by the end of the season, 15 goals, I think that'd be a great output. But even if he doesn't, and it's minimised because we're interchanging him during the game and he's having an impact that allows other players to, if he stretch, like you just said, if he's stretching defenders out and taking them out of play and other people are contributing towards goals, it's all part of that game. And I think that's what Giroud said very well as in terms of on Monday. So I just think we'd be very silly to turn our back on him. And same with the Eze argument. Like I think Eze is going to be more comfortable and he's going to raise his gears. And people are just developing. It's a whole new squad out there, and we're top of the league. So I'm very optimistic that it's working.
Exactly what you said. Like you have to give players time, right? So Cherky's had a little bit of time to adapt, and we've seen a bit from him. I don't think he's been
second season now, isn't it? Yeah.
The one that stands out for me, though, I saw somebody very cheekily suggesting we should put a bid in for Marmoush. Marmoush, that'll get Rosie going. Marmoushka, yeah. What's happened to him? Look what he cost. Why isn't there a massive conversation constantly going on about Marmoush?
Well, we could, like you said, there's so many players out there that, for example, the Ollie Watkins has just hit form now. You remember a few games ago what he was like? Yeah. People were saying, oh, he's not going to get anywhere near it. People were saying, oh, you should have just signed Danny Welbeck. It's so fickle in terms of how people look at form. But I think as long as you've got a style that complements your team, and if we hadn't have gone for Gyökeres now, and just say we didn't manage to get Sesko, we'd be starting with Mourinho up front solely. So with all the injuries that have inputted us, so I think we've just got to look at things in a more positive context.
You don't know that though, Bobby. It might have been Calafiori up front. There's a surprise in store this season. He's got to finish, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're quite blessed actually. There's an Arsenal video I was watching not so long ago whereby they asked people what would be their preferred position. And the majority of the Arsenal players, so you had Mourinho goes striker. This was before he played as a striker. Calafiori, they asked him striker. Saliba, striker. Gabriel, striker.
Yeah, so Saliba started as a striker as a kid.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting to watch that because I thought all of these just provide us more output. That's why we're so dangerous from set pieces.
Mm.
I heard something interesting a couple of days ago. Is the fact that that there was a rumor going around that Madueke is going to be starting as a central striker.
I don't know if I see that in him, but then I didn't necessarily see Mourinho was going to score the kind of goals he scored because he hasn't scored shit. A goal against Madrid
I thought might even be better than the 2 free kicks from the outside, just outside the edge of the area. Rude One Star, formerly Box Fresh, says, only thing I want to see in January is someone at the training ground with a Gyökeres Henry, work your magic. Yeah, that would be nice. I think he needs some guidance. He definitely needs some coaching. But Arsenal have coaches that I think can get some... I think we might be a bit defence coach heavy. I think that Gabby...
They exchanged numbers, by the way, as well.
What do you mean, like?
Victor and Thierry did exchange numbers on...
I thought you meant like Thierry wears Gyökeres' old number on his back now.
Oh, no. I mean, they actually exchanged their mobile numbers as well, didn't they? So Victor asked for him on live stream. He said, oh, could I have your number to pick your brains? And he said, absolutely. So
I remember seeing Alan Shearer, this is 3 seasons ago, talking to Haaland when all the talk was how the Man City players couldn't find Haaland. And he was making some points to him in a show, on a BBC show, saying, you've got to shout at your players. You've got to shout at them to find you. You've got to make the run so they find you. You can't wait for them to find you. You've got to go and grab it. You've got to be that player. I think it's only Arsenal where this conversation is happening in December. We signed him 5 months ago. Everyone wanted him, and now it's 4 months. He hasn't been terrible. He's had an injury spell. He had no pre-season. I think let's judge him at the end of the season like we're going to judge everyone else. And until then, I'm old-fashioned. If he's got the Arsenal shirt on, he's one of mine, I will cheer him. And if a Chelsea fan wants to... and if they want to tell me shit, I'm not paying any attention. So I would quite like the fact that they've exchanged numbers, though. That is a... I definitely think there's a player in there, right? And then Cole with the highly sarcastic, far too few extreme opinions here. We're all extreme. This is not going to catch fire, is it? I mean, unless I provoke Bobby and Zanzi into a furious debate about something,
Collistam, these are not opinions, mate. These are facts.
Facts. We're spitting facts.
Yeah, spitting facts.
3 of our 4 options up front all benefit from current style play. Going by the most recent film each option has produced, it's not realistic to change philosophy. We're not changing our philosophy for any player. It's ridiculous. If we were Spurs, change everything. Name the stadium, go mad. But we're not. We're top of the table. What are we all talking about ripping everything up for? Arnie Slot is not winning the Premier League again. I don't think he'll make it through this season, if I'm honest. He won it last year with Klopp's team. It's true. I can't deny that that's true, Mortlicky, Texas. But why didn't Klopp win the Premier League with Klopp's team? It just strikes me as Klopp...
I feel a lot more empathy around the Liverpool team this year because of... I think one thing that's always blown out, just doesn't get any attention, is the fact that they lost somebody. So they basically lost a member of their family this year, and I think that grief must have had an impact. I always say I don't know how measurable it is, but I think that grief impacts the team. And
I think it comes back to the youthful foolishness of modern football fans who are most vocal on social media that they can't understand that. Oh, I've lost you. Is it just me?
Sorry, can you still hear me there?
I can, yeah, I can now.
I just, that's one thing I've never done this season is troll Liverpool, and
no, I wouldn't anyway.
I think anybody that mocks them, not for obviously the death, but just poor results or says slot out or any of these memes, I think it's such a distasteful thing to do. You think about Salah and the kind of, I know people are saying, oh, he's greedy, he's this, he's that. He was very, you look at that as a team, if you lose someone of such stature and an individual, anybody, if you lost somebody that you work with day in, day out, and you're going out and they didn't really get any bereavement leave or anything like that. So it's hard to think how people process that.
I want to add to that as well. And there was something that I thought was really revealing, particularly Mo Salah, because you've seen his form this year hasn't been great. But it was fans who were saying, I think Liverpool fans were saying, what an upgrade. We've got Ekitike and Isak and Wirtz, and we've lost Diaz, Nunez. And he was like, hang on a minute, can we have a bit of respect for the Premier League champions, please?
Yeah.
And I think that on top of the whole team, Trent Alexander-Arnold going would have been a big presence in that dressing room. Those players leaving, Diaz playing really well at the moment, And so I think you're right. I think chemistry in a team is important. Confidence is important. And honestly, I also think that the reason the Man City fell off dramatically after 4 in a row was because on their training ground, they had 4 in a row was all they were going for. They worked day and night. The effort you have to put into winning a Premier League is supreme. It's unmatched. It's such a arduous thing to have to do as a group of people. You commit so much to it. And when you've achieved that 4 in a row, you just think, well, what now? I think that happened to Pep. And by the similar sort of thing, I think happened to Virgil van Dijk and Salah and Robertson and some of the players that had got over the line again. And I think you're absolutely right. And I will never troll Liverpool fans anyway, because I think they have too much quality about them. You know, they are proper football fans. They appreciate good football. And I've said this lots of times on the stream before. In '89, there are no other fans in the world that would have given our last-minute heroics a standing ovation. They stood and they clapped, and that is respectful. And so for that, I find it impossible to troll Liverpool fans. I don't hear a lot of annoying Liverpool fans, to be honest with you.
I think even with the way that the way they applauded Ronaldo after the death of his child, I thought that was really classic. And you got to bear in mind they had a almost terror attack on their parade as well, so they've had some very much emotional hardship this year, so it's hard to discount that.
It's very difficult as well. That again doesn't get spoken about. Modern football fans don't like to give any credence to something being difficult because it's so easy when you play FIFA. Retaining a Premier League, right? Like, I mean, some teams do it. Man City did it. Man United did it. Chelsea didn't do it. Liverpool didn't do it. We've never done. I mean, we did it in the 30s. Liverpool did it in the 80s. It's a really difficult thing to get a team up for it again because other teams come harder at you. I'm certainly not writing out. I have written Liverpool off for this title this season, but even that, they're 10 points adrift. You could see a circumstance where they put a run together. Florian Wirtz will come good. Alexander Isak will come good. And Ekitike looks like a really good player. I have to be honest and say, because I watch a lot of Bundesliga, I really didn't know if Ekitike would be the one. I was similarly dubious about Isak. Not dubious, but I just wasn't committed. I wasn't like, we've got to go and get this guy. I wasn't any more committed to the idea of Gyökeres, but I hadn't seen him play. So I think now I'm kind of looking at Gyökeres. I think there's a few of us, I think Boyten Diaz said this as well. We watched the highlights reel of Gyökeres and thought, yeah, he doesn't look all that good. But everyone wanted him, and here he is. And he now looks a bit like he looked in the highlights reels, and everyone's losing their shit. And you think, did you not even watch the highlights reels? He's not, you know. But Colliston 42, gentleman's preference, says, I wouldn't mind seeing Semenyo come in if opportunity arises. Otherwise, the squad feels complete. Just time to let it gel and required. I like Semenyo. He was great yesterday again, although he did put his wrap his hands around someone's throat. Was it which one was it? Who did he have? I'm trying desperately to remember the name of the player, the wing back that he could have got sent off for. Look, the problem is if you bring Semenyo in, someone's got to go, and I'm not sure Semenyo makes that big a difference relative to the person who goes, because you're not losing Trossard. If you really want Martinelli out, I think that's a shame because I think he's got so much that he brings to this team in Europe. Obviously, he scored 5 games in a row in Europe, so you're not going to drop him from that. But it's exactly what Rude One Star said here. Who leaves for Semenyo? That's the point. I've noticed Arteta looking nervous when being interviewed over last week. Not a good sign. Have either of you two up here noticed that?
No. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I watched interview on TNT Sports with Arteta and Owen Hargreaves.
Great interview.
You watched it as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was really good because the thing which stood out is at the very end, Arteta said, and now we're here. Sorry, and now we're going to do it. Because they're talking about the process of building up the team and putting all the sort of pegs in their places, and he said at the end, and now we're going to do it. And I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's what I was about to say as well. The self-belief he had within that interview, and how he explained everything. If anybody's not seen that TNT interview with Hargreaves and Arteta was incredible.
I haven't seen it. I'm going to go on the recommendation. I'll go and see it. There's a few phrases that I've found in life. If people use them, I feel comfortable with them. Like there's situations where things go wrong and people are running around with their hair on fire and pointing fingers of blame. And I think what I've learned about life is that it's a path to acceptance. It's not where you want to be that matters. It's where you actually are and where you can go from here. There's a lot of people who are, oh, we want this and I want this and I wish I was here. And no, what Arteta always uses a phrase which people I really like use, which is, it is what it is. You know? Well, what are you going to do without injuries? Well, I can cry about it, or I can go, right, who the fuck did I play there? And that for me is the sign of a person that can get shit done. That doesn't mean necessarily that I'm sure he's going to win the Premier League. After all, only 12 men in history have ever won the Premier League. It's tough. I like this Malt Licky Texas. You're absolutely right, by the way. I'll sell Martinelli and buy Semenyo. Landlord won't like me saying that. I just think it's a bit early.
I don't agree with that comment either, to be fair. Like, when people think of Semenyo or strengthening our left side of our attack, I think we're looking at things in terms of it just doesn't make any sense. Martinelli's got a much higher ceiling than Semenyo, guaranteed. If you gave Bournemouth the chance of who would they like to sign to replace Semenyo and they had Martinelli on their list, they'd take it. 100% they'd take it. If you asked them would they take Trossard, they'd absolutely take it. As their replacement for Semenyo, they would take both of those. And I think both of those within the Bournemouth team would be an upgrade on Semenyo.
I love that. I hadn't even thought of it in that way, but listen.
You know, Semenyo's goal against Man United, that's his first goal in 11 games as well. So he wasn't exactly on fire, was he?
No, I mean, but then
I think he comes across in a way that he could integrate well with certain of the Arsenal players. I think he could integrate well with the ethos, but I don't think he's necessary. I think we've got, in terms of Trossard or Martinelli, both of those would be the best players in that Bournemouth team and they'd elevate the level. So we've got to sometimes just put it into perspective that if you offered it as a swap deal, I think both of them would be accepted quite easily, and we'd be the ones that will get the short-handed deal there.
I feel really comfortable in, like under Arsene Wenger, there was certainly a long period. When he first came in, I was judging him and I had my opinions of what he did. Then he won a double and I was like, I'll just shut up from here. And then he won another double and I was like, yeah, I got nothing else to say. Whatever, Wenger knows best. God knows Wenger knows best, right? That was my whole thing. I was like, and it was a really nice way to be a football fan because you didn't have to second guess the manager and players he brought in and things like that. There wasn't the social media, you didn't have the access, you couldn't vent in the same way. But really, I know Arteta's not there yet, so we can all second guess his opinions. But I think you make a really strong point that as fans, we look at our players and we don't see them as other teams would see them. I think you're right about Martinelli. I think Semenyo is just a new player for me that people really like. And it's a nightmare scenario at the moment if you're Arteta, because you bring in Semenyo and he doesn't play well, it's your fault. If you don't bring him in, it's your fault. There's no winning, is there? I don't expect, but in Berta, I am starting to have as much faith as I would have had in Wenger. So I just like, if Berta wants to bring in Semenyo, it must be the right thing to do. If Berta wants to get rid of Martinelli, he already would have done. So I think I'm just going to let the people who have access to all the stat DNA details, who have the team of coaches and football managers, the experts, the guys that get the big money, I'm going to let them decide who comes in. I'm still entitled to my opinion when I think someone's playing badly. If I think Odegaard hasn't really impressed me in the last month or two, I probably wouldn't be as averse to dropping him as I think. Then saying that, he did drop him, didn't he? He dropped him for the Wolves game. So I think the reality is I might just not know what I'm talking about. Chris has made a really good point here. Firmino scored less than Salah and Mane, apart from against us. Despite being up front, his link-up play with Mane and Salah was sensational. I wonder how much people just look at if a player scores a goal and they decide everything there is to decide about him on that. It's a silly thing to do, Some players... I think Kai Havertz Kai Havertz is one player I think I really like that most people don't really like, and I'm happy to say I could be wrong, but you don't just judge him on goals, do you? But you said earlier, Bobby, like if he could score 20 goals a season, he was on track to do that before.
Absolutely. I think there was a Partey interview last year as well, and he was asked who's the most underrated player at Arsenal, and he said hands down Kai Havertz. He just said hands down Kai Havertz. But I know we're talking about transfer slightly here, but I think a lot of this context about how we've not got over the line and how our squad was weak last year, and maybe the year before and we were running short, has a lot to do with Edu being placed and obviously having his head turned by Nottingham Forest. So a lot of the players he might have earmarked for Arsenal, he might have stood back off and for Arsenal, he might have thought, you know what, in 6 months I can introduce him to the Forest group. So I think the Edu conversation isn't really strong enough. We give Arteta a lot of abuse, and you got to bear in mind we had interim sporting directors during that time, interns basically doing the job for one season. Edu was never going to navigate 100% of the business because he knows that data and everything goes with him. Those connections he's built with people goes with him. So I think now that we've got Berta introduced, you can see the swift change, and Arteta's been pivotal towards that. And when people say about Gyökeres or someone else, I thought it was very powerful going for your second target, purely because we were going to be in a waiting game for Sesko, and we could have easily missed Sesko. So the idea was, we'll let you know if he's available. You can wait till later on in the window, see who's about. And he wasn't pushing for us. So Arsenal and Berta were very decisive in that position. They said, look, if you want to come, you come now, or we're going. And they made it perfectly clear. And the fact that they did that with Gyökeres, next time they're in the market and the situation arises, that club won't play that bluffing game with Arsenal. So if that's, let's say, another club bluffing, actually, we don't want to bluff because these guys will genuinely go for their second option. And we've done it before.
But I think you've just made some back-to-back fantastic points. I think that the Edu situation is quite clear that having been offered the Nottingham Forest I can't remember what the group of clubs is called, but when he was offered the role he wanted at Arsenal and saw he wasn't going to get, he had his last transfer window was pretty shocking. You know, waking Arteta up in the middle of the night going, hey, I managed to get us, you like Sterling, you worked with him. Yeah, all right, if he's free, we'll take him. But we had the really bad transfer window. Even though we did bring in Calafiori and Marino, who I don't think are bad transfers, it wasn't the window we needed. We let 4 players go. We brought in 3. It was a bad move. And I think that I was disappointed Edu left. But I listened to people who have sources in the club, and they were like, no, everyone at the club had started getting really sick of Edu. He was brought in for his Brazilian connections. He didn't seem to have any. He got some deals done. That was great, but he never had a plan B. And exactly what you just said is a really standout point for me, is that Šeško was the problem in that deal. He wanted to see what was out there. Gyökeres found out we were interested, said, yeah, I'm coming. Never mind what Sporting say. Never mind what my girlfriend says. No, never mind what the Sporting fans say. I'm coming. I will be there. Where do you need me? And we went for that guy over the guy who's like, no, I don't know if I want to play for you. And I would do that every single time. I would say, if you don't want to be here. Arteta said the same thing in a press conference or an interview 2 years before. He said, if Arsenal phone you and you have to think about it, you're not right for this club. This is a different knock. This is a different club. And I think that we now have that with Berta, but he does move different. He negotiates really well. I love the idea that he was like, yeah, we're talking to Šeško's people, we'll call you. Yeah, if you want to, but we're going to go and sign someone else.
There's 2 points I'd like to quickly raise. One is, since we've had Berta in, we've actually now signed more South American footballers than when Edu was here. Not only that, but I know everyone is saying about Semenyo going to Liverpool, to Man United, to Tottenham. And I'd just like to say that if Arsenal suddenly said, all right, we'll buy you, he would drop those 3.
He's an Arsenal fan, isn't he?
Yeah, he would drop them and come to us like that. Just
I
like
always
Eze
felt
did.
for Ollie Watkins. I got to be honest with you,
Oh
because
God,
that
yeah.
deal nearly got done and then didn't, and I think that's hard to understand. I think if Berta's in, he probably just does that deal. The thing I love most about Berta, from the limited amount, and I'm not in the know, but I know that he had to fight tooth and nail to bring Hincapié in and Eze, because they were worried he wasn't going to be able to sell players or get players out the door, and he was like, "Trust me, I will, but I need these two." And Hincapié to me looks better than Mosquera. But
I think both of them are great signings. To be honest, I think Mascara looks good, and Capia looks incredible, and the
yeah,
money we paid for them both,
nothing, isn't it? Well, how much did
absolutely
we
nothing.
pay for them both?
I think it was four. It's a loan for Hincapié with an obligation to buy,
At what?
and
Do we
that
know
was
how much?
40 million.
Fucking hell, that's cheap.
And then it was
What did
50.
Kusanov cost Man City, the 21-year-old who seems to put his boots on the wrong feet?
I think it was in the 60s, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, how much was
So
Gvardiol? Gvardiol was 80.
yeah, and
So
you
for
got to bear in mind,
140
Mascara
million.
was such a steal as well.
Yeah, I was just saying 15 million, wasn't it, for him? And
Yeah.
Euros
Yeah.
as well.
What's that exchange rate looking like? Is it pretty decent? Yeah, Andrea, in Berta, I trust. I'll say that right now. Firmino had mad technical ability. Firmino could nutmeg two people at once. Is Morgan Rogers an Arsenal fan asking for a friend? I don't think we could get him, could we? No. I think I just want to steer away from... Look, the greatest Arsenal signings of all time. For me, probably Dennis Bergkamp, Ian Wright. But there's a hell of a lot of them. I never forget the game against... I think it was Southampton or Sunderland, where Patrick Vieira made his debut, 20-year-old, and he looked like Carlton Palmer. And I was at the match with my mate, and he was like, "Who's this? Do you know much about him?" We knew of him. And I said, "All I know about him is that Ajax wanted to sign him, but AC Milan told them we'd already bought him. So these are two big clubs, and, you know, he must be all right. He can't be shit. It's not like we bought him off Wigan." And he come on the pitch, lanky, gangly, skinny 20-year-old, but he didn't look nervous. And there's one point where he just stretched out a go-go gadget leg, picked the ball up, stood up while he was collecting the ball and ran off. And I was like, yeah, he's all right, you know. It's a bit... so I don't mind if we sign players. I was making this point vehemently last season. I want us to sign more players I've never heard of. I'm sick of the conversation. I don't want it to be Gyökeres or Šeško. I want it to be the guy you've never heard of. I was doing all this scouting around players that no one was really talking about. I spent a lot of time in the watching Bundesliga, looking for players. Honestly, for me, it was Šeško. But, you know, I'm not a scout. I don't really know. But I like the fact that I didn't know who Mosquera was or Hincapié was. I watched Bologna when we were linked with Xerxes. I don't remember him at all. I don't remember. He would have been playing. He didn't stand out for me. But there are like when I'm old enough to, and Zanzi as well. Like I remember when we signed Lee Dixon, Steve Bold, Nigel Winterburn. It wasn't like there were people outside the stadium going, "Yay, we've got the Stoke boy." You know, like the modern fan wants every win to be a statement win. They want every signing to be the best player in the world, and it goes against the core realities of football, which are, like people are saying here about Firmino, it's not the ones that stand out. Trossard for me this season has been immense, and I would have wanted him gone. But I when we signed him from Brighton, there was very little fanfare because he wasn't Mykhailo Mudryk. And I was like, mate, I've seen Trossard score a hat-trick with his wrong foot against Liverpool. I don't even know what foot Mudryk is, and now look at it. Sometimes go with the quality.
I think these are probably two of the biggest sliding door moments for Arsenal in recent years. Trossard signing over Mudryk and the Rice signing to Arsenal other than City. So I think if they went the other way, you would have wasted a lot of money, which could have been... You would have been suffering for a very long time like we did with Pepe. And City would have been a different animal completely with that Rice in that team.
Hell yeah. But then, you know, the thing is, I remember because now Lee, who used to be Football Dad's Army, which is a name I still love. He's Football Alliance now. We live streamed together, and we were backstage before we did a show on his channel. And he's going, "Oh, we've fucking blown it again now. Man City are in for Declan Rice. We always let this happen. It's 2 weeks. If we'd signed him, we'd just paid West Ham what they want." And I was like, West Ham don't know what they want yet. If we offered them 100 million and they think they can get 110 million out of City, they're still going to wait. So it wasn't like we could go, "Here's 100 million, take it now or leave it," because they would have negotiated. But here's the other thing I said to him. Lee, if you're watching, nice to see you. Basically, what do you think? Like, Declan Rice didn't know there was a Man City? He was like, "Oh, I'll go to Arsenal. That's brilliant. Oh, I never thought about going to Man City." It's like, we've both been trying to tap him up since January. He's made his decision. Don't sweat the little things. And it turned out that way. My big, when you were talking about that sliding doors thing, was there was a world that I was hopeful we could live in where we signed both Rice and Caicedo. Does that make
That would
us
have been
pretty
phenomenal,
much...
wouldn't it?
Are we all on that same page, Zanzi? Do you think that would have been a game changer?
I don't know about Caicedo because I never really heard much about it. But the one I did hear a lot about was the lad at Everton who went to Villa.
Onana.
Onana,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kept saying,
I like
Onana's
Onana, to be
good,
fair.
but he always causes us problems when he's played for us, against us.
Scored, yeah. He
For
scored,
Everton.
so did Douglas Luiz as well. Do you know what's really funny about Onana? And I'm racking my brains trying to remember who it was. Somebody I know I was talking to who knows much more about football than me. And I was like, "I really like Amadou Onana." And he went, "No, he's not the one, Dan. He's not. I know he's good on the eye, but he's not the one." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, he's not what Arsenal need." And since then, I think he's been proven right. But obviously, Amadou Onana had that famous moment where he goes, "My name's not even Andre, mate." I was like, I just love him for that. I love characters like that. Douglas Luiz was one I really wanted us to get. Amadou Onana was one but I'm happy with our midfield. I keep hearing people saying you can't play Zubimendi and Rice. Why play those two together?
I think they're brilliant together. I really do. I think Zubimendi. I think when people look at his performances and they've been a bit negative, I think he does so much for this team. And I think even in his poorest performances, with classing his poorest performance, for me, the worst he's performed is probably a 5 out of 10.
What
on
was
some
that?
bad day.
Did you feel like because I didn't think he played well against Wolves, honestly.
I didn't think he played well, but I don't think anybody played well. I think that's always a bigger context as well. So when we say somebody's not played well, you could probably pick 2 to 3 players that played well. And even when people say, "Oh, Saka was awful," I think people forget that Saka is that good. His floor is that high and his ceiling's even that great that just a moment of brilliance can win you a game, and there's very few players that can do that. But I'm a big fan of Zubimendi, I'll be honest with you.
I feel a heated debate coming on. I don't, but we've got to try and engineer one because I've got to get clicks up. No, here's the thing, right? Saka's GA this season is not that, is it?
It's not that, but I think what you've got to understand is that when he does come in, how many times has he contributed something, whether it's... I feel as though there's been a bit of a transition, so you might not get your clickbait moment here, unfortunately. I think what's happened this season that I've noticed for the first time in a very long time is people aren't doubling up on Saka as much as they used to this year.
True.
So, like, even when we played Villa...
Do you think that's because Gyökeres occupies a defender and you can't double up on 2 attackers? Is that maybe
it
part
probably
of it?
is that, and I think that's... So you would hope for Saka, who's been used to being doubled up with and still performing at peak elite levels, to perform even better. But I think we've got to understand that if Saka literally performed 2 amazing crosses there that won us a vital game. And
ridiculous. I love that the Jesus. Somebody today was saying, "Oh, Jesus was a bit cheeky claiming that goal." He absolutely didn't. Like, one of the things I remember watching it when his goal, I thought he'd headed it in beautifully, and I was like, he's very subdued for a man who's just won. He's not, and he's like literally saying, "No, I didn't touch it. But if he's not there, then the goal doesn't go in. So I'll give him the assist credit on that. But you're right. Saka's crossing on Saturday was really high standard.
For a cross to go in, regardless who it hits, is of such a good standard. So if you can whip a ball in that good, that the opposition team scores it for you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
saying something. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of people saying, "Oh well, Wolves had to score for us to win the game." No, our crossing was that good. It was unavoidable. It was inevitable. It was like a Thanos moment. It was inevitable. It was brilliant.
I mean,
You know
I
what's-
know technically speaking, Saka didn't get any goal assists against the Wolves, but he did in theory because both
he
of
not?
his crosses.
Did they not count?
No, it didn't count as a goal assist if it's an own goal.
Oh, is that right? I didn't even know that. Oh, that's shit. That's just shit because they are 2 assists. Or at that point, just give him the goal because if it's gone in off the keeper the way it did, there's nothing he can do about it. I did not know that. Thanks for that, Zanzi. But I think that so his GA is probably undervalued. I love Starboy. I think it's been the most irksome thing about his career that people constantly compare him. Oh, is he as good as Cole Palmer? I don't know. Is he? Is he as good as Phil Foden? I'm not swapping. Do what you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can come and tell me that the thing that the player we've got is shit, and that I still don't want Saka to go anywhere. When he signed his new contract, I was over the moon. If he stays his entire career at Arsenal, it will be an absolute joy. There's a statue outside ready to be unveiled of Saka. He's given
I think
so
the
much.
interesting thing. Sorry, I think the interesting thing with the Cole Palmer and Foden argument is if you ask Guardiola and Enzo, would they take Saka into that either of those teams? They'd say absolutely yes.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
just for his attacking output, but for his defensive output.
work, yeah.
So
Which
you
do you
don't see
think-
that with Palmer
Do you
or
think
Foden.
that's a detriment to his long-term career, though? Because we're seeing that, Mo Salah had a much better season last season when Arne Slot didn't make him track back. And so do we think there's a case to be made, look, stop making... Our system is quite stressful for players. I think that plays its part in injuries. Players like Martinelli, even when he's not playing well, he does his defensive duties well.
Oh, he does
Saka,
incredible.
and you don't get that same level of output from Madueke on the right. But
I
Let
think
me
they're
just-
learning though. I think Eze and Madueke have improved in terms of defensive contributions this year compared to
Probably
where
like-
they would have been.
Bobby, genuinely, I was literally the game before Club Brugge. I was going, is anyone else getting sick of Madueke? Because he's great and he looks tricks and flicks and everything, but he never does anything with the ball. And then he had that goal against Club Brugge, and I was like, oh yeah, that's all right. And then he's there at the far stick heading it in, and you think, where is the striker not here? That surely, where was Gyökeres for that? So I am partisan. I believe I'm Arsenal all the way through. If you were an Arsenal player, I got love for you. Even if you were, who's the worst Arsenal player I've ever seen? I don't know.
Van Persie.
I like that. No. Maybe it's because I'm old enough to remember. God, who was the the guy that we signed? George Graham's last signing. He was piss poor. Yeah. So as soon as you've played for Arsenal, you're a hero because that's the dream, isn't it? Matt, it was Tony Cascarino as a panelist who suggested he could see Madueke as a number 9. Oh, here we go. Sorry, Malt Licky, I missed this one out. Martinelli's performances are either 1 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. And I'm in an unpredictable fashion. I'll have a player who's consistent, predictable, 7 out of 10 most games. Yeah, okay. I'm not. I can't really disagree with you because
You've got to disagree with that because his defensive work rate ensures that Calafiore is never doubled up on, allows him to go further up the pitch. At 1 out of 10, you're not doing that at all. If every game Martinelli's giving you a defensive output, you can't say he's anywhere near even if he's a winger that puts in his defensive contributions like he does, that's doing let's say a 4 to a 5 out of 10, and that's assuming he does nothing with the ball going forward. You can't say he's a 1 out of 10 at all. That's laughable.
I feel like the first thing I want to say is yes, I do now fully agree with you. I feel like you've made an excellent point that when Martinelli's bad, he's never 1 out of 10. I don't remember the last time an Arsenal player was a 1 out of 10. So that's a first of all very fair point. Second of all, yes, to acknowledge his defensive output is really fundamental. I love it. Malt Licky, get yourself up here. I think you and Bobby could have a heated debate that we could cash in on. I think it's great that there are opinions. I don't. But I think if I'm here as the arbiter final of which of the two of you's made the strongest case, Bobby, I'm giving it to you because I do think you're right. I think that he works his socks off, and apart from anything else, and this is probably not fair to consider as part of a footballer's job is to play football and not anything else around it. But when he was asked in a press conference if he was going to be signing a contract extension, Martinelli said, "Get me a pen."
Yeah.
And that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me to have a player who's got that in their heart, not looking anywhere else, not thinking anywhere else. William Saliba didn't go to Real Madrid as all the gloomy people were expecting him to. He said the next best thing you could say, which is, I haven't done anything at Arsenal yet. I have to win stuff at Arsenal. And you just want to hear things like that, don't you? So, Mortlake, Texas. Do you have any counter to the thus far winning argument that Bobby's made? And Jose said, fans and clubs are like a marriage, managers and players either add spice or kill the mood. For me, we were in a bad place. For me, it's a relationship. I would describe our relationship with Arteta as we were down on our luck. We'd lost the sports car. We'd lost the fancy mansion. We didn't have the high-paying job, and he came along, and now we're dining in those circles again. So I am not convinced that anyone knows the future. If you said to me, I'm on a knife edge, if you said he doesn't win the Premier League or the Champions League this season, then I would have to say, look, there's a point where everybody, if you take a job, no matter how hard you work or how well you do, if you don't reach the ultimate target, you're going to go. And I think we're all just going to have to wait and see till May. But my heart and everything I want is just Arteta to be successful. And I'm conscious that that isn't true for everyone. But I know
think the narrative's changed a lot on that as well, though, hasn't it? Like from the beginning of the year, fans just asked for some form of silverware.
Yeah, that's bollocks. Though.
Whether that was
we've had him on here as well. The one that really surprised me, God, I've forgotten his name now, Carl Walsh, and he's very Arteta out. He's not the man. He's not the man. And I said, would you change your mind if he won silver? And he goes, yeah, if he wins me the League Cup. And I was like, hang on a minute, what? Like you'd be happy with a League Cup?
Yeah. But
I wouldn't.
But I think that would have been just a case of people showing enough patience in him. Like he's the Irish guy, isn't he, Kyle?
Yeah.
So I've seen him on a couple of times, but I think he does that in a way that we just want silverware. So it's kind of counterproductive in that way.
I don't want silverware. I lived through, people talk about George Graham. 93, we won both bits of silverware. And 94, we couldn't buy a win in the league. 95, he got sacked. So sometimes winning, the narrative is you win things, gets you to win things. Zanzi and I think, have successfully debunked that in the past because we talk about Wigan winning the League Cup. Where are they now?
Yeah.
Winning things is a consequence of the process that you're putting in place to win things being in a rude health. It's not the be-all and end-all in of itself. You don't win loads of other stuff because you won the league. I'm sure it fosters a winning mentality. In 87 when we won the League Cup, it was only 2 years before we won the league. The process was in place. Let me go through these comments. I'm terrible at this. Landlord, you should listen to a Liverpool fan called Don Hussam, who is a big YouTuber. You might finally find an annoying Liverpool fan. I really like him. But I did leave a comment and he had a go at me. He totally misunderstood what I was saying. He was saying, why are Liverpool fans so hated? And I was like, first they laugh at you, then they hate you, then they love you. So I think it might even have been not that, but a quote by Gandhi. And he was like, what are you fucking talking about? You're an Arsenal fan. You don't know anything. And I was like, whoa, easy, Tiger. I'm on your side. I'm like, I like being hated as a fan. I like the fact that we're in every point. Any show you go on, football-related YouTube show, someone's talking Arsenal, someone's talking is Gyökeres a bomb. They're not talking is Isak a bomb. He cost twice as much. Somebody's talking about should Arteta be sacked. They're not talking about Eddie Howe or Unai Emery or any of these other people. Unai Emery, Eddie Howe spent almost as much money. What phase are they in? And so I like that we're disliked because the worst time to be an Arsenal fan was in those wilderness years where everyone sort of took pity on us.
For me personally, when I look back at things like we were just talking about, I think the Arteta era, when people say he's got to win something this season or he's out, I was once, believe it or not a huge fan of Arteta. I felt there was a culture that I didn't understand at the time with the Aubameyang exodus, I kind of saw a lack of, and I completely misinterpreted it, but the way it was portrayed was that Aubameyang's mother was seriously ill. He was late getting back, and then he was frozen out. So from my point of view, I thought that was very cold and harsh. And then the lack of man management for like Guendouzi and stuff like that. But what I was comparing it to then was the fact that we were a finalist with Emery's team. And Emery's team was never Emery's team. That Arsenal team that was set up in the back was such a hideous way. There was, and we only know now that there was so many misdirections. There was Sven Mislintat. There was a.
I was gutted when
positional-
he left, funnily enough. I was like, oh no, the hope has gone. He was going to bring in all the good players. And you think, oh.
And then what we found out later at the time, there was corruption led by, which I think's allegedly by Raul Sinelli.
No, you
So
could
it
actually
was-
say, oh no, wait, you can't legally. Yeah, you have to say allegedly, but it is there. You know,
They
we know
say
of it.
he brought in players with Pepe, and it was secretly done. And I think it went on even further than that. So there was the time he came in wasn't just toxic in terms of Emery for a fan base that were getting used to something else, and we got absolutely battered in the final, and it was a really poor team. But the recruitment side of things was so corrupt. It was,
Yeah,
and then, and I think the culture barrier at the time. I think the media were very harsh on him in terms of because he wasn't very great at English, and we still make fun of it now, which I never like it when I see it in the comments like. Evening. I
No,
think
Bobby, I'm going to cut in that because, like, the thing is, I don't mean to be disparaging, but I have to say, look, at the time he was our manager, I just got so fed up of listening to him, and I just and it is one of the big problems. He is a highly regarded super tactician. If English was his native language, I think he'd have done a lot better in the Premier League. He's doing amazingly at Villa, but he does have that communication problem, and he is difficult to understand. There were lots of problems. He was not afforded freedom at Arsenal because you had all these Salehi and Mislintat, and you had all these egos battling out. The Usmanov Kroenke thing hadn't been settled yet. Unai Emery wanted Zaha, and they couldn't get him, so they brought in Pepe instead. That's a decision that I don't think he would have made. I don't think he was a player that really fit the kind of teams we were up against. He needed to run into space and. I think there are lots of problems, but the simple truth is, yes, he got us to a final, and there was that flourishing period of not losing in something like 20 games, and the Guendouzi looked good, and Torreira looked promising.
I loved Torreira at the time.
I did, and then it just was one of those ones where he just didn't like the vibe. And I think, look, reality is this. Football is not entertainment. It's entertaining, but it's not entertainment. But the minute a third of your fans don't come to the games anymore, that's you done. Like, forget anything else. Forget the battle behind the scenes. Forget whose team you've got. The fans voted Unai Emery out. That Frankfurt game, there were 40,000 people at, and so you've got to kind of go, why aren't the fans turning up? Now when I hear people, rewriting history and saying, oh, we should have stayed with Unai, it's like, why didn't you come to the games then? Where was the support for him when he was sacked? Where were the protests? Where were the petitions? We're a petition-happy team now, aren't we?
I'll be honest with you. I was part of a Northwest supporters club. So we used to get coaches down prior to COVID during the Emery era. And I thought, I was very optimistic. I remember the first game against City under Emery, and I just think his circumstances were so harsh. And I agree with you that there was a disconnect with how he communicated. And I think that meant that fans didn't understand his words properly, and it just we expected something much. We had greater hopes immediately with his track record. We were very optimistic, and then
especially when we got to the Europa Cup final, you're thinking, well, if anyone's going to win this, it's this guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that still the only final he hasn't won? Because he won I think he's won 4 now, and I think, but anyway. I do agree with your point that the communication.
It was harsh, and then Arteta came in, and I think he's been afforded the time, in all honesty, and we've got to give this, and I think it's a right decision that he's been given the time and the money and the setup. but that setup has evolved, and you can see it's constantly evolving with
Yeah.
Edu leaving, Tim Lewis. So the same thing's
Yeah.
still happening now, but I think both instances you don't know where we would be on either instance. I still think Emery would have made us compete to this
So I
point.
think there's something to add to this, which is that Stan Kroenke interviewed Arteta and Unai Emery, and he was, you know what, at the LA Rams, I went with a young guy who had no experience because he had the vision, and I'll back him. But all the football insiders and the Michelin tats and everyone said, no, soccer is not like that, Mr. Kroenke. You need an experienced winning guy. So he, against his judgment, and he calls the shots, he owns the club, right? If you want to decide who comes and goes, buy the club if you can, you know? And he was like, when it went wrong with Emery, he was like, right, I'm sticking with my guy and I'm going to back him for a process, like we did at the Rams. This is a man who, whether you like Stan Kroenke or not, I don't have a strong opinion either way. He has managed successful sports franchises over 4 different sports. Like, maybe I should just shut up and let him get on with it. And his idea was, no, I like Arteta. I back him, and he has backed him. He's backed him in a way that I think is really sensible in football, but there is a limit to it as well. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, Arteta's got a job for life if he doesn't win a trophy. I do need to race through these comments because it's the chat that matters. I just never rated Gyok like that. He's ours now, so I'm hoping for the best, but I don't get expectations people have of him. I'm with you there, Boy Tendio. Morley Texas, you'll find one in the first scroll and click. Are you on the source tonight? You'll find one on your first scroll. I don't know what you mean. What's he saying? Like, anyway. Gary's here. Hello. Gary from Don't Waste the Trip. Semenyo has just dropped like 4 stinkers in a row, ain't he? Yeah, he's over. He played well yesterday. I loved that game. 4-4. I had money on over 7.5 goals. How do you like my luck? Clock Enders. On the source on a Tuesday night. I only drink 6 nights a week. On Tuesday nights, I let my liver recover. Well, it's because you know this is on. Can't come to the Tuesday club drunk. Can't really keep an ageing Trossard, though. How old is he? How old is he? He's not that old. Fuck off. I thought he could be my son. Right, it's nothing. A strap of a lad.
I know, really.
Rosie's back. Edu conversation is never had by Illuminati, doesn't fit their narrative. The narrative is just so absurd, right? If we buy a player and he's brilliant, well done, Berta. If we buy they said the loudest most voluminous chat was Arteta wants Sesko, but Berta wants Gyökeres. And it's like, hang on a minute, that all stems from an article on a sub-post by a Chelsea fan. There's no evidence. And if you think about it logically for a moment, so Berta comes and goes, I've just spent 10 years with Diego Simeone not getting my way. I'm coming to Arsenal. What's the deal here? Can I go and get whoever I want? No, you've got to get whoever Arteta wants. Well, fuck that then. I'm not playing. Do you know, I don't want to be your sporting director if I have to do what Arteta wants. I think the reality is, Arteta has said this in interviews, and I don't know why anyone would think it wasn't true. They sit down and they go, right, who do we want? And I think they probably both wanted Šeško, but exactly like you said, Bobby, they went and negotiated with him, and he was playing silly buggers. So they were like, we're not going to get held to ransom by some sort of wannabe striker. Like, we're bigger than you. And they went and got Gyökeres. But the narrative was always, Arteta doesn't want Gyökeres. He wants Šeško, so he's not going to play Gyökeres. And it's like, well, he's played him now. Yeah, but he hasn't played him properly. Well, he's played him in the position he wants to play. Yeah, but he hasn't told the rest of the team to do everything they can to support him. It's like, well, maybe that isn't how any team should function. But the narrative at the moment doesn't make sense. It's never going to make sense if the agenda is Arteta is always wrong. Because even if you really hate Arteta, you should be able to say occasionally you get something right. After all, didn't we just win 6 games out of 6 in the Champions League? Yeah, but it's shit. We do well in the Premier League. But the Premier League shit. We do well in Europe, but Europe shit. Well, what do you want us to play? South America? I'm up for it. Can I get a free ticket to every game? I'll be at a Stade del God knows what. Bobby, been brilliant. Clockenders says. That is a big thumbs up. I think you have as well, by the way, just so it's not just Clockenders. We like logic and common sense here. Yes, we do. Bobby is spot on. Rose, you got a thumbs up from Rosie. Shout out to Bobby. Look at this. They're showing you mad love, mate.
Thank you, guys.
I love this chat. I love this community. Ed always struck me as lazy. I admit I could be wrong. No, man, that's a fair point for a bloke who's only ever filmed at a barbecue. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to get away with that with my gaffer. Oh yeah, where are you now, Dan? What are you up to? You signed any more deals? Oh yeah, I've got a ribeye on there. I've got some sausages. It's going to be lovely. Do you want to come in the office? Not really. Patrick, when asked about the infamous tunnel incident in the tunnel at Highbury, who started it? He said, I started it. Yeah, I finished it. I remember Patrick Vieira made his debut against Sheffield Wednesday. That's right. I knew it was an S. Forgive me. Hey, Rosie, so I've got to catch up because I'm miles behind. 12:14. God, that's 20 minutes ago. Not convinced with Caicedo. Zubimendi is class. Well said, Mortlicky. Zubimendi doesn't get assessed properly by half the Arsenal fan base because they think Partey was the second coming of... I don't even like talking about Partey anymore, honestly, because DJB, who I respect a great deal, was saying Zubimendi isn't in the same class as Partey. And I was like, the stats tell a different story. And what were we going to do? Hold on to Partey? You know? See if he could get let out for weekend games. No, man. Like, I don't want the guy anywhere near our club. I didn't like the way that was handled at all. And I think there's a reputation at stake. We are... Anyway, I don't even want to talk about it. Saka's floor is indeed much higher than the rest of our attackers. His tactical understanding of the game is arguably second to none. I love what Declan Rice was saying as well about how his tactical development has come on leaps and bounds. Dan, how are you? Charles, brilliant to see, mate. For Victor, the problems are shot volume and defender separation. I mean, shot volume is not his problem, right? It's teammates given separation. I don't know. I love your point, Charles. I think that's really strong. And I'm sorry it's taken me this long to get to. I hope you're still here. Shot volume is definitely one of the reasons I was excited to get him. He just hasn't been taking shots, but he hasn't been getting to balls that you might hope a striker would do. There was the one against Wolves where he's just too slow to get to it. I can't keep blaming other people for that. At the same time, I'm happy for him to have time to bed in. Dan, also, you and everyone on here, I feel that Victor has pressure to be success. Havertz and Jesus don't score anyone as they are from a bygone trophyless era. I think Bobby said earlier, Charles, that if Kai Havertz is a full season fit, he'd score 20 goals. It certainly looked like that to me last season. I was saying the same thing this time last year, and I'm inclined to agree. People want Arsenal to be successful in their way. I can't let go the belief that this is the season. Don't let go of that. Why would you let go of that? This is our season. Charles, of course, there's pressure. Also, Kai scored a winner in the Champions League final, and Jesus is a 4 times Premier League winner. Yeah, that's fair. I hate Unai Emery. I hated him. Genuine hate. I don't hate anyone. I don't. Like, life is too short. No one. If people really upset me, I ignore them, as I have done several times so far in some of the comments. Remember the Watford game? That's Unai at Arsenal in a nutshell. Clock enders. My comment: Thayer's players did not win trophies, but Thayer's Arsenal players won 0 and scored no one. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Rosie wants to know if you have a channel, Bobby. Hast thou a channel? I
don't, I'm afraid. I don't do any social media.
Don't be afraid. I'm fucking delighted. You're the first person who's on who hasn't. It's tough enough getting seen and noticed. No, but who would you say I know you just sort of found us tonight, thankfully. But who are your sort of go-to YouTube channels then?
I like Tom Canton, the Goonie Talk, Highbury Squad.
Yeah.
And Harry Simew, and I do listen to Gooniverse. I think James has got a really good insight as well.
I found he's sort of gone a bit more negative more recently, but yeah, I think I don't as regularly go on any of their shows as or watch them as I used to. But yeah, I think that kind of pitches it at the rational, intelligent debate rather than the kind of heated. But
I'll be honest, I will watch alternative views as well. So after a match, I'll get both sides of an opinion to reflect on it. So I'll go to a rational opinion, which is like Tom Canton, and then I'll go over to completely the opposite, which is why I know the names that you mentioned, like Carl Walsh and Lee Gunner and all those guys. And I will watch those. And I think it's good to get a perspective of both sides and see how it reflects sometimes. So I will go to both sides. I've appeared on Tom's show a couple of times, and just when he's done a live phone-in similar to yourself. But I'd say I always like to get a full perspective. I'm not into the whole hate thing or anything like that, but I think it's good to get both sides of a draw like that, to be honest.
I agree. I think I have Lee Gunner less and less There's been too many things that are just outside of football that I just can't deal with. I don't want them creeping in, some real nastiness, some real vitriol. Saying he wants to nuke the fan base, it just bothers me a little bit. There's just what everybody has a favourite flavour. I think for me, Deluded Gunner
It's very good, yeah.
is the one that YouTube do this review of the year like Spotify do, and I was like, Talk Sport is top of my list. I don't even like it that much, but I must be on it all the time. Deluded's my second, and I just love his way of dealing, because I don't always agree with him, but I never feel like he's going to call me stupid for not agreeing with him. The reality that I live in is, look, let's say you or Zanzi or anyone in the comments says something, and it does happen, and I disagree with you. I'm happy to say I could be wrong. You know, if you were saying Gyökeres is the best thing ever, and I was like, I don't see it, but hey, listen, I've been wrong in the past. Let's just wait and see. A lot of these places will make you feel stupid for having a different opinion, and I just think that's wrong. I think an opinion is just that. No one should feel like they're right. I think I'm going to butcher it, but there's a Mark Twain quote, which is, "It's in life, it's not the things you don't know that fuck you up. It's the things that you know for certain and just ain't so." So I'm very open-minded to however strong my opinion is on something. I've been wrong often enough that I can go, look, I thought Florian Wirtz was going to set the Premier League on fire. I still think he will. I still think Isak will be a success at Liverpool. I don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to patch this up. But you can admit that you were wrong, then you can have a rational debate with someone. If you're prepared to change your mind, you can have a rational debate with someone. If it's just a constant, every time I go in these shows, it's a different way of blaming Arteta. This manager will never get us across the line because he never has. It's a kind of strange logic to me. You know, that's how I see it. On to the comments. Who's TP playing for now? Yeah, that top elite club. Yeah. Harry and Canton are good lads, actual supporters. They get absolute dog's abuse. I've never seen such vitriolic abuse of them. Shills, arseholes, you know, it's just because, and they say, oh, when they're in press conferences, they never ask the right questions. You go, you know, if you're in a press conference and you ask a stupid question, you might not get invited back. What's the value? Lucky Singh's here, Man United fan. Lisandro Martinez, want you back. Newcastle United to help defence, be strong-minded. I thought Man United Bournemouth was my game of the season, like I think it was most people's. I really watched most of that game thinking, this Man United is better and different. I think you're on the right track. It helps only playing once a week, though. We'll fight back from a draw. Slightly different, but Arsenal Vision and Arsblog. Arsblog. All right, there's nothing else. You don't have to say anything else. Arsblog is literally the man who invented St Totteringham's Day. Like, that's enough, isn't it? Like, that guy's a legend. He's funny, he's composed, he's intelligent, he's erudite. Love him very much. Both excellent. DG Nation for me. Yep, absolutely. I can't say it enough. Sorry, Charles, if I skipped over your point, let me just go back and see if I can find it. Again, the clock end is a role is different and the role is different. The role will require something different, not the same thing replacing again, as they both could not deliver when given the role. We have struggled with forwards. I can't pretend we haven't. And I don't think it's peculiar to Gyökeres. Obviously, the biggest problem I have with Gyökeres is I really thought he was going to play further up the pitch, and he isn't. And I don't know if that's down to him or where the manager's telling him to play, but he needs to be further up the pitch, doesn't he? That sort of attacking park game we like now, we need to balance it. Yeah, listen, I think you've got some work to do on Lemons. Was a bit not quite Premier League level for me. But I think there are problems at Man United that are almost impossible to fix. Kobe Mainu not getting minutes, and when he did come on, he didn't look that great. Bruno Fernandes constantly hinting he wants to leave. Would you? A little question to you, Zanzi and Bobby. Would you have Bruno Fernandes at this club? I am pronouncing it the correct way. I could just say Bruno Fernandes because I know that.
No.
He's for me, he's got leadership qualities. Not the leadership qualities we want, from United, but I think in our team, he would. I think as part of a wider 11, he's definitely one to be thought of.
I just can't see it. Although his free kicks are I mean, like, he's definitely playing in the wrong position at Man United. I think we can all agree on that. I don't want him. So it's a no from me. The Arteta came to us when he was working the Man City F9 model, banished Alba, then recruited Jesus, spent on Kai. Proof is there that he's unable to work with centre forwards, neither staff. I mean, you listen. I like Charles. I love the way you've put that, but I could also say, up until I think the game that he's adopted, that Arteta has adopted, doesn't really have that striker in it. Just like Pep didn't have a striker until Haaland, and I think that when you bring in a striker like Haaland, yes, you have to give him time to adapt to other people, but he's so good that he's going to put every second chance away, and that's something that I don't think Alba or Lacazette. No one talks about Lacazette anymore. We didn't get the best out of Lacazette. We didn't get the best out of Aubameyang. We didn't get the best out of Edin Nketiah. We didn't get to see enough of following Balogun. We didn't, there are lots of things that haven't worked, but in the picture as a whole, we scored more goals 2 seasons ago than we ever have before. It can't be wrong, really, can it?
I've got this take on things. So when we lost Balogun, Nketiah, Lacazette, and Aubameyang over probably a 18-month to 24-month period, and we didn't really replace him, we went out for Jesus and Zinchenko, and then eventually we acquired Havertz. I think what Arteta did then was he started working. His primary focus was strengthening the defence, and then he went into the midfield, and now he's worked on the forwards. So he's worked in that routine. But when people mention those names, and I was probably in this camp as well, I think we made the wrong move. I thought Balogun was going to be great. I thought Eddie had ability at the time, and I thought Aubameyang was a huge loss when he left. If you look at all 4 of those and you ask yourself now, do any of those go near this current team or even the team of last year? They don't. Do any of them even go ahead of Mikel Merino? They don't, do they? Let's be honest. Lacazette, Aubameyang, you wouldn't have him ahead of our 4th choice striker. So it's if you look at where players have gone, and this is what I always try and do, I try and look at, has Guendouzi gone on? And I thought Guendouzi was great when he first came in. I was a big fan. Same with Torreira. Have either of them really propelled and proven us wrong? It's not like Scott McTominay at Manchester United's gone on and propelled his career, Rashford or anyone like that. We've not had that moment, which makes me think Arteta has made the right choices.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that, and I think you have to do that. And I often talked about Mario Koscielny when he left, and I thought this is a big loss. He's going to be a great player. He signed for Brighton. I was like, watch him show us what he's capable of. They loaned him straight out to Blackpool, and he hasn't really gone well for him. When does a player leave Arteta and do really well? They'll say Aubameyang went and won the league at Barcelona, but that was his last really meaningful contribution. He did nothing at Chelsea, and he's at Marseille now, isn't he? So, I mean, I think the other thing that strikes me as really interesting is when it comes to the Aubameyang, to touch on the point that you made earlier, because you were pissed off with Arteta for the way that the Aubameyang situation was handled. Certainly the interview Aubameyang did about a year ago really made me think about things differently, because he does talk about he hadn't really done anything wrong. But having managed people and been part of HR processes, people can rack up late for training, late for this, late for that. You draw a red line and then they don't live up to it, and you go, look, at this club, I'm trying to instill a certain professionalism, and you're not doing it, so you've got to go. And I don't care who you are. If you're the captain, you don't turn up late for the Spurs game. I don't give a shit if you've got a good excuse. You don't turn up late for the Spurs game. Tony Adams wouldn't have had that. Tony Adams would have slept in the stadium before missing the Spurs game. So I think there are 2 sides to every story. The real point I want to land on, though, is people have this notion that you have to get a striker because they'll add even more goals, and it overlooks the fact that, well, if your team we're scoring goals. One team in this league scored more goals than us. You know, one team in this league has more goals than us. Everyone else doesn't, and some of them have strikers. You know, like teams that have strikers don't score more goals than us. Then why do we need to be so worried about the fact we don't have an all-out number 9? A Barcelona team that revolutionised football didn't have a striker. I'm not suggesting that we're anything like the sextuple Barcelona, but I am saying that this just seems like a facile thing to say. Like if we had a striker, we'd win the league. If it was that easy, everyone would do that, wouldn't they? There aren't as many strikers around as there used to be.
How many leagues have we won with the Golden Boot winner?
I know that we've won. It's actually the opposite, isn't it? It's we don't win. Unless Smithy won it in 91, and I have a feeling he might have done. Ian Wright certainly won a couple of Golden Boots in seasons where we didn't win the league. We're not a team that's blessed. I mean, Thierry Henry would be the guess, wouldn't it? Like, surely the Invincible season, he was Golden Boot winner, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Aubameyang won a Golden Boot, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And we didn't win the league then.
No, I think like it's a team game, isn't it? So
yeah.
I liked the Alan Smith years. You know, I think he was incredibly important to the team, but he wasn't, and he did win Golden Boot, but he wasn't necessarily. None of the modern day fans would be chuffed if we signed Smudger. Haaland is a unique talent. I think it was crazy if some people claimed Gyok could score as many as him. No, I mean anyone who said that was just full of shit. I remember one debate I was listening to in summer before Gyökeres had come, and they made the guy who was totally pro Gyökeres say, how many goals do you think he'll score? And he said, I think 14. And I thought that's fair. I think that's a fair return. I think he'll score 14 this season, still on for 14 if he doesn't get any more injuries and he plays consistently. But so what? So what? He scores 14. If he's scoring them or someone else is scoring them, I don't really care. I just need us to be able to put teams aside. And we are playing better against low blocks this season than we have done in previous seasons. I think Eze plays more of a role in that. Someone like Madueke plays more of a role in that. Dan, goals point are acceptable. Goals point are acceptable. Never said it is. The point here is centre forward. A natural centre forward looks at space differently, trains differently versus Marino, Kai. Yeah. Do I think that last season, if we hadn't had to have Marino up front and we'd had a Ollie Watkins or something like that, we probably would have done better? Yes. But then who are these strikers? Where are they?
I'm not sure I agree with that, to be honest. I think Watkins, again, if you look into a bit of the wider piece there, his attitude was an issue, even with Emery. And Emery's quite an easygoing guy in terms of discipline. Obviously, bar the Xhaka thing, which he was pushed to do for the fans. But I think I don't think that would have worked. I know Watkins was an Arsenal fan. I feel as though if we had Watkins that season, we came into it looking at it now, Marino scored very important goals. You alluded to the beautiful one at Madrid. And there's certain goals that I think overall this game, I think we had to be patient in that position. And again, we weren't working with Berta, we were working with nobody really, so it was hard to.
I've totally forgotten the name. Jason, who his understudy said, he's done a good job, and I think he hasn't signed anyone. Like, how's that a good job? I'd love to be judged.
But I don't think he was given the opportunity to do that though as well. I think they probably went in on the market, and I think he probably you got to bear in mind he wasn't the final decision maker or anything like that, and it's whether they had enough confidence in him to convince him. So it's quite a complex. You got to think that when you're contributing to money that might be for a short-term hit for Watkins, which may or may not have paid off, you would have paid for it the following season.
Bobby, let me clarify. I think when it came to it in January, somebody made a very good business decision. And they looked at it rationally and said, if we bring Watkins in, how many goals do you think he'll score? And could it be the difference? Will we overhaul Liverpool? Probably not. So let's wait till summer. And it was the one thing the fans didn't want because they didn't want to give up hope last season. But I think the board sensibly were like, we're not in a position. Let Berta have the money in summer. And I can't disagree with that because I don't think Ollie Watkins would have won us the league last season.
No.
Maybe Haaland would have done, Mbappe would have done, maybe Victor Osimhen would have done. But you're talking about players that are outside of our wage structure to comply with what one of them wants. So yeah, I honestly, I just want to try and get to this point. Also, any of my comments, I'm not comparing Gyökeres with Erling. No need to compare here. It's just a hope to look inside and work more over copying what Erling is doing. Erling, can Gyökeres copy what Erling is doing? Is Erling just a little bit beyond Gyökeres' ability to? I mean, he is a much better player. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think that gave me a lot of comfort earlier to hear that Gyökeres has swapped numbers with Thierry Henry, because I do think like having someone like that. I loved Ian Wright's autobiography. I'm a massive Ian Wright fan. I think we all are, right? I think he's just the sort of player that I just loved watching, and he was a hero to me and still is. He talked about the thing that I took from his book more than anything was he said, my job isn't scoring goals, it's taking shots. I'll take the shots. I'm here to take the shots. So he was a clutch player. He was the sort of player, his first goals and his last goals for the club were he will take the shot. His job is to get a shot off on target. And I think hopefully Thierry Henry says the same sort of thing to, I'm sure there's more that Gyökeres can take from Henry than just that. But what Ian Wright was saying behind the scenes, according to Cecil off AFTV, when he was with him, it was like, you need to go and grab goals. You need to go and get your goals. You can't wait for people to give them to you. I think Erling made that adjustment at City. And I still think, whether you're Gyökeres in or out, right now, we all have to acknowledge there's not enough data. He hasn't played enough games. He hasn't settled in yet. I can't, hand on heart, say that he won't score 20 goals next season. I can't tell you if he'll score 10 or 20 or 1 or 5 or I don't know. But I will say this. Andrea Berta signed him. Arteta wanted him. They must have both been in unison or it wouldn't have happened. We own a stat company called Stat DNA, and the analytics would have been good. The coaching team wanted Sesko the season before, so maybe they didn't want Gyökeres. But there is no way on earth that Gyökeres is a shit footballer, right? So whether he's what all of the people who've never seen him play before think he is, or whether he's actually never going to make it, there's a brilliant book, and I forget his name. He's the guy who took over the data team at Liverpool before, while they still had Brendan Rodgers in charge. And he talks about how they analyse stats and what players will be good at and things like that. But he also, very memorably for me, writes down the equation which proves that 50% of all transfers fail. Because there are 7 key areas. Does the team already have a player in that position who may be better? Does the team play to that? Does the manager like him? There's 7 factors. And if you get 90%, if a player is 90% across those 7 factors, when you multiply 7 out by 0.9, you get to 0.56, which is exactly why even the best scouted, best recruited players fail as often as they succeed. And if you want more proof of that, look at the massive players that have been signed for massive money, and they've mostly failed. Isak, I don't think will fail at Liverpool, but Romelu Lukaku, that was nailed on. Shevchenko signs for Chelsea. Oh, well, that's that done then. This is the best striker in the world. It doesn't work when you sign players in the way that you think, oh, it's a natural fit. Isak's going to smash goals in. He might not get on with the players around him. He might not have the manager might not rate him. There's loads of things that make a transfer go wrong. So Gyökeres is just one of those, and I think it's the culture is to know before anyone else that Gyökeres is going to be shit or that he's going to be a baller. So people come out way before the data is there to support any rational argument. Rationally, Gyökeres is not sensational right now, but Voltemade was sensational 2 months ago, and now he scores an own goal that sees Newcastle lose at Sunderland. I mean, they're shit, aren't they? Getting a draw at Sunderland is a shit result. How's Alba got on since Mikel pushed his arse out the door? Yeah, since Barcelona, nothing. Haaland's scoring stats are inhuman. They are. They just are. Lisandro Martinez, Maguire, I need ready for Newcastle, so we attack. And man, it's a tough game, Newcastle. I said 25. Did you say 25 goals for Gyökeres? That's punchy. I mean, I love your confidence. Zanzi, you don't need a centre forward as a Golden Boot winner, but you also cannot have a centre forward investment and a return of 10 Gs. That is poor and cannot be disguised under teamwork comment. I don't know, because honestly, if we win the Premier League, does anyone care? You know, like we won the Invincibles with Pascal Sigan. I don't like it. It can be done. You know, Gilles Grimondi was in the 97-98 double seat. Like, not every player in the squad has to be world class. We paid 60 million for Gyökeres. That, I think, is some perspective that's needed. We pay. They say he's going to play Kai Havertz. Well, like, on balance, we paid more for Kai Havertz. He's one of our best paid players. You kind of think he probably is a better player than Gyökeres. In my opinion, Kai Havertz is a better player than Gyökeres. Maybe that's what I'll clip that and get everybody angrily tuning in next week.
Can I just point out about what Charles said there, that you don't need a golden boot winner? That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, I know. That is actually what you were saying, isn't it?
Yeah. We've had golden boot winners and we haven't won the league. Why not? He's scored 26 goals. Why haven't we won the league? Because we conceded too many goals and we lost too many points, and that's it.
That's the point, Bobby. You know, you made up. I don't know if I followed it up because I really loved it. When George Graham came to Arsenal, he didn't fix the attack; he fixed the defence. Right? Like, if you want to win a league, this is a much maligned fact. People won't accept this anymore. But the best defence has the best chance of winning the league. If we're only scoring a goal a game, right, but we're not conceding any goals at all, we win the league. If you want to look at why our performances have not been so good recently, it hasn't been because we haven't scored. No 0-0 draws, no 1-0. Even Villa, we scored. We're scoring, but without Gabriel at the back, we don't look as solid. So if we get Gabriel back and we don't concede any goals, and Gyökeres only scores 5 and Saka only scores 5, that's still 10 games in a row we've won. You know, I'm a data person probably more than most people because I don't trust my eye. And I like to watch a game of football, make my decisions on it, and then go and see if the stats support or don't support that argument, and then try and work it out from there. I think what you're saying, Zanzi, is absolutely spot on. If you have a striker, I always liked Emil Heskey a lot, not because of his goal scoring, but because he was such a handful for opposition teams. They had to work around him, and while they were doing that, players around Heskey scored. I can live with that. Would Watkins even be ahead of Havertz? I mean, I have to say, like, his goal against Holland for England, yeah, he probably would be. But you touched on this, Bobby. I want to come back to you because you were sort of talking about his attitude, which I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. Do you think he's do you think he's hard work to work with, or?
I think it was a very difficult time. So at the time, I actually thought if Villa were looking to cash in on John Duran secondary, so that wasn't their first. They wanted to sell Watkins and keep Duran. That was the plan.
Yeah.
So they poached him out, and Arsenal must have said, "Yeah, we'll listen to what it is if he's available. What price is it?" And then obviously it didn't make sense. But I think at that time when he would have preferred a move over Duran being given a big paid move, and then obviously things backtrack. But I think, in all honesty, we could have gone for John Duran in that window, opposed to who hasn't, obviously, who's probably got attitude issues as well. But I just think Watkins, he would have been same as you. I just think it wasn't a business smart decision, and I think when we look at Watkins or Havertz, you look at the flexibility and versatility that Havertz gives you. It's incredible. And if you look at when Havertz first came back from injury, he looked like a different player. He looked bigger. He looked faster. So I'm very excited to see this reboot. Unfortunately, he got injured very quickly, but that pre-season, the goal he scored, the burst of speed he got from a bigger frame, I'm excited to see what he looks like. And I think Arteta's already alluded to Havertz and Gyökeres can play in the same team.
I want to see that. I'd
love to see that. And I think Jesus can drop to the left. So if you think offensively, we could be one of the most spikiest teams out there with that kind of option. I'm going to say I've really enjoyed today, but I do have a ridiculously early start in the morning. So I'm going to...
May I say on behalf of all of the the community here assembled. That it has been an absolute pleasure having you on here, and I very much hope that you will honour us with your presence again. And it's particularly, I'm not going to get mushy, but today I kind of had a sort of moment where I just thought, you know what, I really believe that the largest section of Arsenal fans are not being heard. I've kind of got this idea of the unheard, which is just that we all hear from the people who are like, he's a fucking menace, and because they're loud. But behind that, there's most of us are going, why is everyone being such a dick? You know, why is everyone so depressed? And so to have you on and have you be so rational and so calm and you clearly know your stuff, that's exactly what I think is reflective of what I see in the chat every single week, 3 times a week. And that is why I'm not going on Lee Gunners or Shane's or, you know, Carl Walsh, love him to bits, but I'm not really interested in his opinion anymore because I know what they're going to say before they say it. With you, it's been really illuminating, instructive, and very interesting, and thank you for being here.
And genuinely, it's been really good to hear you both speak. And as I was just scrolling through, and I sapped into it, I saw how you were responding to the comments, and I thought, this is a really good community. Sounds like a lot of people are talking sense. There's no really derogatory comments or anything like that. So it just seemed like a nice place to spend the evening. So I'd love to come back on again, and been really nice talking to you both and everybody in the chat as well. Thanks
But
for
have
the
you
kind
liked
words.
and subscribed though? That's the main thing.
I've done both.
We're on 1998
I did that before I
subscribers.
jumped on, actually. I was like, you know what? Even if I don't get to jump on, I'm going to like and subscribe this channel. It's one that I'm going to come back to.
But I suppose it's more than I've done.
Shut up. We're 90. It's funny because I'm going to miss this part of the channel growing. I mean, unless it stays here, which I don't care about either. But we're on 1998 subscribers. So it's 1998. So it is the double year.
Wow.
The next one will be a little bit less, and then it's 2000. Everyone's always talking about 2000, but for me, it's always quality, not quantity. I love this community. I love that we can have a bit of a laugh. This show's been a lot more football. It sometimes just degenerates into talk about biscuits. I know Rosie's keen to get us back there, but we're on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, and there's videos dropping. And yeah, just feel free to. I always put the link in. Always feel free to jump on, Bobby. It's been an absolute pleasure.
What's the go-to biscuit at the moment, out of curiosity?
Well, you know what? I'm doing a separate food series called Foods Ball. So if you want to
I'd love to come on that.
Right. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a video. So I've got 4 videos already. What is the best sandwich to eat with football? So I've done the croque monsieur, the hamburger. I've done Anthony Bourdain's favourite sandwich and an Austrian specialty sandwich, and I'm just going to go through them. But the thing that's funny about it is I said the hamburger's the first sandwich, and that was probably the most fierce debate Rosie and I have had because she's like, that's not a sandwich. Like, what the fuck is... Hamburger's a sandwich, Rosie. But Boy Tendio is always trying to get us to eat bacon and banana pizza. The idea is it's a pub. Come in. Some days we all need to keep each other calm. Some days we all need to celebrate with each other. But we have Miss Melina here as well. So if you haven't checked her channel out, she's brilliant. Queen of Arsenal. I love to think of this as a sort of after hours pub that people with their own channels or rational, sensible people in the know come and hang out. And there's no malice. That's the most important thing. Everyone's welcome. Some people get blocked, but they get blocked because they're horrible to people in the chat, not because of me. But yeah.
But if someone turns up called Malice, yes, we'll providing he's the gooner, we'll have him.
Listen, Lucky Singh's a Man United fan. I love all fans I love football fans in general. So anyone who comes on is always welcome. But yeah, so I will be releasing the Foods Ball videos. It's just a lot of editing, and I have a full-time job as well. So, but things like that. Not so much watch-alongs because I'm not very good at them, but after the match and that kind of stuff. And Tuesday Night Club. You know, we also coming up with Christmas, we do stuff like Club Tropic Arsenal, which is basically me dressed in a Hawaiian shirt, drinking cocktails. We do rom-com quizzes. We do movie quizzes. We do all kinds, but it's just meant to be a place where people can feel comfortable and welcome and feel free to express their opinions however silly they are.
I think you've got a great community here, so it sounds really good.
Really proud to be part of it. Thanks, Bobby.
Fantastic.
See you, Bobby.
Have a
to see you,
lovely
mate.
evening, both of you. Look
And
forward
you.
to catching up for the remainder.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
bye.
So Rosie says it here. Please make sure you're subbed to the channel and subscribed. Miss Molina, it's great to see you. How are you? Haaland is different gravy. End of discussion. Yep, I think that's fair. I don't think it's worth for strikers to study Haaland. He's not playing by the same rules. Long legs, tall, real athlete, southpaw, cause left foot. His shoe size. I mean, everything about him was purpose built in a lab to be a goal scorer, wasn't it? My point is not copy what Erling is doing, rather do what he needs to be done inside the club. Put Odegaard, Eze and Gyoki in one room, let them figure it out, telepathy. I like that. I think that'll come with time though, no? It's all lets him cheat situations either strikers fall. It all lets him cheat situations either strikers fail in. In the latest, is that the latest? Is it Gyökeres out? Fuck me, it's been 5 months. Klopp, mate, it isn't here. You know, I was never massively a fan until he put the shirt on, and I'm like, no, he's my guy now. Give him 2 seasons and see how he does. Miss Molina wanted Lisandro Martinez back Newcastle, so they have. I think I wanted Lisandro Martinez till he turned us down. It's like a striker studying. Thierry Henry is too fast, too technical. He can play like a top attacking midfielder if he wants to. Listen, learning the guitar, I think it's natural for me to want to play like Jimi Hendrix. It's just that I don't think all of the phone calls with Jimi Hendrix in the world will ever get me near that. There's just some people who are on another level. Still scored more than Pedro, Sesko and Isak. True that. Gyökeres taking a look at Watkins does would probably be useful for him. Funny enough, I believe Gyök has better athletic ingredients than Watkins. Watkins more technical. That's a really good comment. I remember Thierry Henry winning a golden boot at the Emirates and we didn't win league. And then how much joy do you take from that, right? I think that's what you were saying, Zanzi.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice for that player, but doesn't win the league, does it?
No. Nick Fadley, I clicked the like and I liked it. Nick, if you haven't subscribed yet, mate, you could be 1999. I trust your eye, or at least trust mine. I will. I'm happy to. I like the way using ball switch at Wolves and Bournemouth. I really liked Man United's attacking pressure yesterday, but you do have to ask questions about your midfield in terms of its defensive setup. Has Casemiro got the legs, etc. Arsenal, your team is scary. Got most midfield lock attack. I think I see rational people saying that from other teams, and I think people would look at us and go, yeah, I'd like Declan Rice, Zubimendi and Eze or Odegaard. I think we've got good... Yeah, Bobby, I just, like he's not here now, so I can say it without looking like I'm trying to make him... He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yep.
We had Bob this time and Ben on Friday. Wasn't it Friday or Sunday? I've totally forgotten now, but we've had some great guests.
Friday, wasn't it, Ben was?
I think it was,
Because I couldn't remember his name.
Well, you could never remember anyone's name. You didn't know my name for 2 years.
That's true, Charles. Oh, I'm sorry, Gary.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come here to make sure I'm still sane. That's it.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a better comment to summarise what we're trying to achieve here.
Or is he saying his name is Sane? Well,
To check I'm still Sane.
yeah.
I'll take him. I thought Sane was the mysterious German that everyone was talking about coming to Arsenal. Do you remember?
Oh, no. Yeah. What happened there?
It was just nonsense, wasn't it? Just a load of bollocks. We just get led around by our noses. I think we're coming to a natural end. Zanzi, do you want to have your...
I'm going to sprout some facts now.
Sprout? Do you mean... All right.
When was the last time we didn't score against Wolverhampton Wanderers?
I think they were talking about this on the telly. 1954 or something?
No, 1979. And that was when we finished 7th in the league.
I wonder why I thought 54.
Maybe it's 54 games.
54 years. Yeah, maybe. I just
Yeah.
I think all those stats are interesting. It isn't how I judge. You can't really. It's the team now versus the team now, right? So I am anxious about the Everton game. I know we've got another show before then, and then obviously we'll probably do something right after it. But yeah, final thoughts, Zanzi.
Oh yeah, one last thing. You know, I was talking about the these Arteta with Owen Hargreaves in this chat. They're saying that the average age for players to win the league for a club
27.
27, and we're 26 at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. I do think you can't win anything with kids.
No,
I'm really listen. I am going to stay confident because I don't see the point in being fucking miserable. A lot of people, just to clarify, I don't dislike people who are Arteta out or aren't happy or whatever. I only get frustrated with them when they get angry with me for not buying into it. My advice to anybody who desperately wants to see Arteta sacked is just convince a third of the fan base not to go to matches. And then you'll get your way. And if you're finding it hard to convince a third of Arsenal fans to not go to matches, in fact, if Arsenal matches are so oversubscribed, even my brother who lost his season ticket from some foolishness because it was some, even he has been told he might get one next season or the season after. It's hard to get tickets at the Emirates. Why is that the case if we're so shit and if it's all terrible? They basically want to tell you that everyone but them is wrong. And then you go, in a world where everyone disagrees with you, sometimes it makes a bit of sense to just think, am I always right? I said Arsenal would be in a top 4 battle. That didn't happen. Maybe just eat a little bit of humble pie and go, I'll wait till the end of the season and give the manager some time. I think a lot of the problems I've had in the past, which I think might be affecting other people, I won't put that on them, but they watch all of the YouTube and they get this feeling and it whips them up into anger and then they get more angry and then they stop being happy with anything we do. So a last minute winner, I'm not celebrating that. A win over West Ham, I'm not celebrating that. If we don't go and win at Villa, I'm not celebrating anything else, etc., etc. Silliness. We've got a really good community here, haven't we, guys?
yeah, and we got a good team as well.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know what? You're a good team when idiots from Man City who've been supporting a team for like 8 minutes come in here and say, you're shit. You go, okay, who's next on your list? Are you going to Crystal Palace fan, Cam? You know, what's the, you know?
No, I was thinking earlier today, who in the Arsenal squad as main players hasn't been injured? Raya.
Well, you can't count him. He's a keeper.
Yeah, he's a keeper. But
Miles Lewis-Skelly hasn't been
Timber's
injured.
been out for a bit.
Miles hasn't.
Right, Miles Lewis-Skelly probably not.
Zubi
Calafiore was injured. Zubi's not been injured. The back two have been injured. Still are, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, one's back.
Madueke, Saka,
Yeah.
Trossard, Odegaard,
Martinelli,
Marino.
Gyökeres.
Yeah. I mean, we are playing high octane football at the top of the league without respite. So, it's going to happen.
Yeah, but last season or the season before that, we would have probably collapsed, capitulated. But because of God Berta, we have a squad.
God squad.
Yeah, yeah, the Berta squad.
I'm not calling him God just yet, if that's all right with you. But I like it. I like your enthusiasm. Any final words after that?
It's a brilliant chat today. Love Bobby coming here. It's really nice to see another perspective. The chat's been really good. Funny at the beginning with all the
This is just so you know, guys. This is why I make the option to go on the two formats, because on the screen one it's usually people on computers, but on that handheld format you do get more people going, oh, what's this about? Oh, I better go and tell them their club shit. They'll like that. Rosie, I'm going to leave. So have you done your? The chat's been great and everything. Have you wrapped up, or do I have to?
Well, no. I just like to say that that Abu bloke probably had to leave because he had actually found a pubic hair. So he said, "Mum, Mum." But yeah,
luckily it wasn't actually his. But
yeah, whose was it then? Uncle?
No, but it is one of those, like, tell me you're a child without telling me you're a child. You know, it's like, you're not rubbish. All right, Cheers.
But it's been great, and it's been absolutely wonderful to see your hat twice on the trot now.
Yeah. Do you know? I'm mixing it up. I want different comments from Rosie. She let me down today, but that's not true. Rosie, you are sensational. We've got great people, and we've also got a guy who puts bacon and banana on a pizza. Do you know, apart from Boytendio's ridiculous notion of bacon, and I don't weigh in on this one usually, but it is a bit daft, and I'm not trying it. Well, maybe I will. Do you know what? I tell you what, I'll do you a deal. In the next show, Boytendio, we'll make a sort of bet where the forfeit will be I will try your bacon and banana pizza shit. Brilliant community, and I love it. I am so grateful for you guys being here. Dan, that's so important. Timber back, Trossard, Gyökeres, Gabriel Jesus, got to keep them, absolutely. Bobby is a superstar, and we're going to call it a night there. So until I see you all again.
It's been emotional.
It has been emotional. Do you know what? I'm going to actually end. I'm going to do an end stream because you know what? Because we've gone over the 2 hours anyway. I might as well. But I'm going to shamelessly plug. First of all, I'm going to shamelessly plug this song that hasn't done as well as the Handbrake Off song. Do I even have the Handbrake Off song somewhere? But in any case, thank you all for being here. Until I see you again, be lucky.
Bye.
One clash, one fall, time will explode. You could feel red blood run cold across the postcode. Got me down bad and the fear get viral. Fans screaming season done like a survival spiral. But breathe, my brother, fear don't leave. North London warriors built from a stronger creed. Arteta armor.